This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK. Good evening. Come along to TTML F1. We are here tonight for Season 6, Round 1 of the Championship of TTML F1 as we take in, of course, the Portuguese Grand Prix from the Algarve International Circuit. My name is James. I'm going to be taking to the stream, as always now, on a new location, on a new time, on a Sunday night. And joining me in the commentary box, it is the man, the myth, the legend, that is Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening, James. Good evening, that is watching. Hopefully, we'll be able to match the action that we saw in the Brazilian Grand Prix, I'm sure, about half an hour ago when we finished, and hopefully we'll be able to provide that action. I was going to say over the next 10 weeks, but we are having a break for Christmas, but 10 races over the next 12 to 13 weeks, and for the first time in TTML history, in one of the main leagues, no assists allowed.
Yeah, no assists allowed indeed, and it's going to be so interesting to see how these guys, of course, face the trials and tribulations of the nicknamed roller coaster circuit, of course, the Algarve International Circuit. But you will be wanting to know who on earth is driving in this season's lineup for TTML F1. Let's have a look then. From Mercedes, we have Lynx and Fleddy, both IFR drivers. There's a lot of IFR drivers. I'll just put it in there now. In the Ferrari, it is Connor and Bunty. In the Red Bull, it is Pat and Denzo. In the Alpine, it is Funky Chicken and Zerdema. In the Aston Martin, it is Noah and Black Box, another IFR pairing. Nuth and Tom Robbo in the Williams, Perpetuum and Nico Bufano in the Haas. Alfa Romeo represented by Stinson and Dutch Missile, McLaren with Jensen and Rudy, and AlphaTauri with Boss Wanted and Harry Banks. Plenty of IFR drivers, as if we've been invaded by the Danish team. But who on earth, out of that driver lineup, in terms of the constructors, do you think has the best chance?
I think we've got obviously we've got two champions from last season. Harry Banks won F1 and also won the Sim League as well, which was the sort of precursor to this division. So I think you've got to expect a good performance from him. Boss Wanted, we haven't seen him race here before. I've seen him in other leagues. It'd be interesting to see what he could do. I think Funky Chicken and Zoidema could be a team to watch as well. And I think some of those a bit further down the order. Pat, he's capable of decent performances on his day, as is Denzo. I think Jensen, Rudy, they could definitely pull up some surprises. It's very early stages, let's be honest. 10 races to go. We'll have to wait and see how things go. We'll get a better picture, I think, by the time we've had the first 2 or 3 races to see who's really adjusting the best.
Yeah, really so. And I think, honestly, the IFR boys obviously invading, as I say, TTML F1. They've got a lot of good drivers. Black Box, I think, is one in particular. If he takes the no assist turn off in the Aston Martin, I think he's going to be a really good shout for possibly at least a race win, possibly getting towards the top step of the podiums as well. And of course, 2 former champions, of course, as you've alluded to, with Perpetuum and Harry Banks racing. Of course, Harry Banks, a defending champion from TTML F1 last season. In terms of that driver lineup as well, looking through it, we have a lot of good drivers, a lot of pacey drivers, some not so. TRT Bunty coming in, obviously from Division 4 last season, now up to F1 this season, and to no assists for the first time. How do you think he'll cope, and how do you think all of these guys will cope, obviously, with the trials and tribulations of no assists?
I think they'll cope pretty well. A lot of leagues now are starting to adjust to no assists, so I think there are quite a few of them will be getting used to it, getting used to the changeover. I know certainly towards the end of last season, and it wouldn't surprise me if for the entire of the season Zoidema was on no assist, so I think he's going to be, again, one to watch. They should be fine, okay? They're top-level drivers. He's always close to the top in whatever leagues they're in. They should be fine. I don't think we'll see anyone struggling too much.
Hopefully not. I mean, Portimao, of course, is one of those tracks where you are going to really struggle. We'll have a look at the track map, of course, in question as we go through into the formation app. However, we are about to get going for the first time on a Sunday evening. It is great to have you along with us for TTML F1. The Portuguese Grand Prix is about to begin. Short qualifying, of course, 18 minutes worth in length, and then, of course, a 33-lap race. And if it's anything like TTML F2 around here, we could get A, changeable conditions, and B, a lot of track invalidations.
Yeah, certainly. I think we could definitely say that. It's quite a tricky circuit. It's going to be one of I think the most important qualifying sessions of the season. It is not an easy circuit to overtake on Portimao. A lot of medium speed corners. You have that long banked final corner, of course, and it's not a heavy braking zone into turn 1. So you're really going to have to play your strategy right, get your qualifying right, and avoid getting stuck in those DRS trains. It should definitely be a fascinating start to the season, and of course we are going to see some other interesting things happening throughout the season as well.
We are indeed, of course, and we'll come on to that. I think you mean about the sprint races that we're going to be having, the two, of course, around Imola, and I think the other one is in France, if I'm not mistaken, for round 8 of the championship, and we'll get into those in more detail as we go along. TAS system, by the way, is up and running. However, none of these drivers have been added to the TAS system before tonight's race, so everyone is as a player. So pretty much on the left-hand side of your screen, if you're using the TAS system like me and Luke are currently to provide the live data to you all, then obviously everyone's going to be known as a player. But we get to see from our point of view, of course, the driver's names. So everyone, 1st to 19th, that you see on the left-hand side of your screen, is 1st to 19th, just with the different player numbers on the TAS system. So hopefully you don't get confused.
Hopefully we don't get confused as well. I think that's the more dangerous situation. You guys will be fine at home. I think you guys know what you're doing. I think it's us who are going to have to watch out. I must say, it's looking like a very overcast start to qualifying. We can tell you there is going to be rain in the race. So definitely something to watch out for, just to make this circuit that a little bit more spicy.
Yeah, definitely. Rain around this circuit, of course, can really interfere with the drivers. Bunty has left the session. I think Aguinio has also left the session, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So hopefully both of them are going to be rejoined in. Funky Chicken is the first man out on track in the Alpine. And, of course, he is a brand new driver. Of course, raced in TTML F1 last season. Brand new driver, of course, no assist, with being the first no assist tier that TTML has ever ran. He's the first out on track, and he's got the advantage of getting a bit of clear air. But if he gets interfered with traffic coming out the pit lane, it can be very hard because this is quite a dirty air-prone circuit.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you can just see you've got these long corners, quite a few of them medium speed as well, turning and braking at the same time. Formula 1 cars don't like doing that in the clean air, never mind doing it in the dirty air. So traffic management is going to be key in qualifying, and I've seen drivers make mistakes on this circuit and get disqualified because of the nature of the track. You can have a spin at one bit and end up skipping about 3 corners across the track, and the game does not like that.
Yeah, definitely not. And actually looking at the forecast that we have, light rain 15 minutes into the race, it seems. Funky Chicken, however, better start us up on the lap. Let's ride on board then as we run down in towards turn 1 with the Alpine, and we run down, braking just off the 50-metre mark, gets the car turned in very nicely from Primera at turn 1, now through the right-hander of turn 2, and then in towards Lagos at turn number 3, and then through the left-hander, of course, up the hill in towards turn 4. Quite a lot of elevation change around here at the Algarve International Circuit. And now on the run down through the end of the first sector, 22 flat from Funky Chicken through the end of the first sector. Now down into the turn 5 hairpin of Torre Vip. Comes out of there very nicely indeed. Through the kink of 6, and then in towards the double right-hander of 7, and then through Samsung corner at turn number 8. And Samsung, of course, named after that famous phone brand, of course, that you might have with you right now. Funky Chicken now coming up the hill in towards Craig Jones at turn 9. Yes, that is the corner name. You're now coming through in towards Portimao, where, of course, this track gets its name from. 52 flat through the middle sector from Funky Chicken, looking quite good. Currently, 29.9 was his middle sector. So now comes through turn 13, and then in towards the turn 14 of Sagres. He's got Zerdema, his teammate, just in front of him, so it looks like he's going to be getting a little bit of a tow. He could actually get in the way, more than likely, as he now comes through Galp at turn 15. Funky Chicken on a very good lap here currently. He gets the tow coming through Galp. Zerdema now runs onto his lap, and a 117.2. However, he did invalidate. Oh, no, actually, he came up 117.2 to start off the night. I think drivers, though, are probably on quicker laps, like the Aston Martin of Noah through the first sector.
Yeah, Noah doing well through the first sector. We've got some cars further back not doing too bad either. Tom Robbo, he's just coming around the final corner. One thing you'll notice here is a lot of drivers running out of ERS as they're going down this main straight. You can see their deploy used underneath Tom Robbo, and his time hasn't come up just yet. It didn't look like he'd invalidated that lap, but no, we are just having a few issues with the time coming up. Jensen goes up there into second place, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how the drivers do manage that battery. As there we go, Tom Robbo's time does come up, and Rudy now goes fastest of everyone, as we have got Noah just coming around the final couple of corners. Did find it interesting that the Alpines tried for slipstream. I don't think it went anywhere near how they planned it, though.
Yeah, definitely not. I think Zerdimer intentionally took the wide out line to try and get the run in towards Galp, and he's obviously now on his lap. He's actually invalidated through the end of the first sector, and now 36.1 that was through the middle sector. So Rudy's out on top. Denzel now goes quickest with the 1:16.3. Hopefully you are not seeing any flickering, by the way, on your screens in terms of the lap time. I think it's all to do with the task system and how the task system has unfortunately not been set up, but Denzel out on top now, 1:16.3. We should be seeing lap times around here, the mid 1:15s, I think. It's guaranteed, and obviously the track is going to evolve as the session goes on.
Yeah, certainly. We've got a few more starting to get towards the end of their laps. Just a few yellow flags as various cars are getting out of the way. The Dutch missile, certainly there was a certain Mercedes driver today thinking that he had a Dutch missile heading towards the side of him. He goes 10th, so clearly just backing off on that lap as well. Isu's in 9th place at the moment. He looks as though he's going for a second run on these tyres, and I do find this is something that I've seen happen a lot more on this game than previous games. Drivers try to get a second run in on a same set of tyres, and it just seems to work for whatever reason. As you can see there, Isu does improve time-wise, if not position-wise. Good lap by Nuff as well. 4th place at the moment on a set of mediums. Be interesting to see what he could do on that set of softs.
Yeah, I think, honestly, in terms of the times around this track, we should be seeing enough towards the high-end 1:15s, I think. It's something like a second you can improve, maybe even more than that from a set of mediums to a set of soft compounded tyres, and especially so as the track evolves, he will begin to improve his laps as we go on. Denzel though out on top in the Red Bull, Rudy in second, Lynx now in third. Lynx qualified very, very strongly in Abu Dhabi, the season finale, of course, just a couple of weeks ago. And he locked up in towards turn 6 and 7. The chicane through turn 6 and 7. Black Box now goes second towards the top end of the field as well. But Lynx, 16.7, he can definitely improve on that lap time. And if he shows anything like his Abu Dhabi pace, he should be one of the favourites for pole.
Yeah, certainly. He definitely looks like he could. I mean, this circuit in Abu Dhabi, you have obviously got that one long straight. A Dutch missile goes fastest of everyone now on a 1:16.270. Fastest of everyone in the final sector. So great job from him. That again, just getting that extra warm-up lap in. I think a lot of drivers have definitely got that potential tonight. Nuff ends up coming into the pit lane. Brand new season, brand new teammates. How much they've been practicing. They won't have done as many laps around this circuit as previous ones, of course, as it is fairly new to the game. It's the first time we've had it at TTML and Imola, which will be the first ever sprint race in TTML. That is coming in a few races' time. By now, the drivers should be used to this circuit. I think a lot of leagues took the opportunity to use Portimao. It definitely seems to be a track drivers enjoy, and fair play to Codemasters. The new tracks that have been added to the game, these two, and I think even Zandvoorts from last year, really feel different from some of the ones that have been on the game for a while.
They do definitely, and Jeddah obviously is going to be coming, I think, either tomorrow or Tuesday, I've heard on the grapevine. So Jeddah will probably be adding into that as well. Jensen, however, is preparing up for his lap in the McLaren. He is normally a quick driver on this set of soft compounded tyres. He scored quite well here in LOE on a Saturday a couple of weeks ago. Of course, Relentless Nathan won that race from NSX Montana, if you tuned in for that one. If you didn't, don't worry. I'm not going to break anybody's, well, bones. Yeah, Jensen down into towards turn 1. I don't know what I was saying there, to be honest. We now come through Primera at turn 1, and after turn 2, and then Jensen, of course, coming through the right-hander of turn 3. Connor has rejoined the session, so hopefully he'll be getting on board of a lap. And now Jensen sort of takes it very quietly coming through turn 4. He didn't look confident through there to 23 flat through the first sector. Jensen not happy with this lap. I'm not sure if he just backed off to try and get a banker lap in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I noticed the red light flashing briefly at one point, and I think he did go back onto full ERS, but no, he has backed off this lap completely now, and we're not really seeing anyone lighting up the TAS with green symbols at the moment. Someone who is about to do his first run, though, is the reigning F2 champion. If he can carry his form, his confidence from F2, because it seemed pretty inevitable partway through the season. I think of 9 races he took part in, I believe he got a podium in every single one of them last season, so he was just on an absolute different level in F2. If he can carry this onto F1, he is definitely going to be one to watch. 22.1, it's about 3 tenths down on the fastest through the first sector, but we're just following him through the second sector. 52.1 now in total, so again lost a tiny bit of time, but this could still be a pretty decent lap time, should get him in the top 10.
Yeah, I think this is going to go probably around Funky Chicken sort of area. Speaking of the chicken, he is just in front of him coming through Galp. And again, it just hasn't worked coming through Galp. And Funky Chicken's nearly into the side of him. coming now through and actually gets the toe on the run to the line. And he's slower than his teammate, and I didn't think that worked to plan at all from Zerdima's perspective. We've seen improvement as well. I think Rudy may have just got onto his lap, actually. He has. Lynx has improved slightly, 700s up in the final sector there, so he goes with a 116.7. Not many drivers, though, on laps at this stage. Pat is on a lap in the Red Bull, 29.7 through the end of the middle sector, so he's actually going quite quick. Fastest first sector out of everyone, by the way, Jensen through the first sector, a 21.7 through the first sector from him. Pat is not on a good lap at all. He's going to get a valid lap in, though. He goes right down to the bottom of the field, 31.1. Jensen, though, 1.2 seconds up through the first sector. Now coming through the middle sector, 4.4 seconds up, and again, lighting up the timing screens.
Yeah, well, head the ball with Jensen. His teammates doing a pretty good job as well. Rudy seems to be improving at this moment in time. So I think we're going to be seeing McLaren's bump up towards the top of the timing sheets. There we go. Rudy goes up into second place, but we'll see what Jensen can do. He's not going to get any sort of distant toe or distant dirty air there from Noah, and I'm sure we'll be appreciative of that as Jensen heads towards the line. 1:16.152, fastest of everyone. He was just doing that sort of second lap to get the tyres into a good condition, and this is interesting. Bunty's trying to set a quicker lap on a set of the medium tyres. He is quite a long way down at the moment. I think getting a promotion from F4 to F1 is always going to be quite difficult, so he could be one to watch maybe as the season goes on. Maybe if he does build a bit of confidence. He's very low on ERS though. Is he going to dive it into the pit lane? Is he going to finish his lap? Bunty comes across the line. Does improve time-wise, but stays down in 17th place. We are starting to see a few more green sectors now, and Pat, again, after backing off on his last lap, let's see how he ends this one.
Yeah, 21.7 as well. Dutch missile through the first sector, so Pat is actually on a lap now running toward the line. And he goes third, 1:16.287, 1200ths of a second ahead of Rudy, and 1700ths of a second behind Dutch Missile. But Dutch Missile now coming through the end of the middle sector. Let's see what his times are like through the middle sector. He's invalidated coming out of Portimao at turn 11, through the left-hander of 12 and then to 13. So Dutch Missile invalidated. Sadly, he's not going to be improving on this lap. But I think, anyways, he would have been a 10th down on the middle sector as well. But Jensen out on top, Dutch Missile in second, Pat in third. Rudy in fourth has came very alive, I've got to say, so far in the McLaren. He's doing such a good job. Denzo, by the way, is on a lap in the Red Bull. He's lined up the time and screens 21.7 through the end of the first sector. And now through Portimao, 700s up in the middle sector. So Denzo looking quite good. He needs to really find a lot of time in this final sector. Denzo was normally quite quick around here. We certainly came here, or we are coming here in FRL very soon indeed. I think it was last week, in fact, and Denzo actually raced there, and Denzo was very quick, so Denzo will be watching out for, as he now comes through Galford turn 15, on the run now to the line. Is he going to improve ahead of Jensen? Barely, but he does go second, 16.2.
Yeah, good lap, good end to the lap there by Denzo. Found quite a bit of time, I think, in that final sector. Fleddy's coming around the final corner now. He's 6/10ths up on his personal best, so this should be good enough to get him inside the top 10, depending on the final sector. And he does just sneak ahead of his teammate then. 9th place for Fleddy, the two Mercedes in 9th and 10th. Coginio in that 11th at the moment, and the alternate strategy, it can work around here. You could definitely gain places like we see at a lot of circuits, but because of how tough it is to overtake, and we just tend to get a lot of DRS trains around here, it's not as effective as it would be at some circuits, especially not, for example, Bahrain being a typical example of where the alternate strategy, qualifying 11th there, almost as good as qualifying first. Yeah,
definitely so, and I think, honestly, these guys are really adapting to the track really well. I mean, the top 12, looking at the stage at the minute, it's 8/10 of a second from Jensen down to Perpetuum. Perpetuum there in 12th position. He was normally top end of the field in F1 last season, so he's got to be up against it. Harvey Banks, of course, is not here tonight, the defending champion in the no assist here. He is not here. Connor has rejoined the session, so hopefully he might be able to get a bit of a lap in. Jensen, I should say, had on top. Denzel in second, Dutch Missile in third. Noah, I believe, is about to start up on a lap in the Aston Martin. Down in 13th in the minute, 1:17.2. And the time, looking at the sector time so far, he's in 13th position. And looking at the sector times, he's well off in the middle sector. He's 5/10ths off Coginio, and Coginio in 11th position is 4/10ths ahead of him.
Yeah, just looking at the sector times here, Noah, slowest of anyone apart from Bunty, who did his fastest time on the soft type, on the mediums, I should say, in the middle sector. I don't think Noah actually managed to get a second clean run in. He was towards the top 5 earlier on in the session, so this is going to be one to watch for him. We're seeing a lot of the drivers manage to get 2 runs in a session. Whether Noah's going to be able to do the same thing, whether you've got enough electrical energy in your battery as well. ERS management in the race is going to be so key around this circuit. If you find yourself dipping below that 10% where it starts clipping, as people call it, he's 1,000th up in the first sector, then you could find yourselves in a lot of trouble. I absolutely love this Portimao circuit. The undulations, everything. It just looks so much fun. I imagine in real life it is so much fun to drive around. And of course, extremely difficult. And that's what we want for these drivers. We want them to enjoy it, but we want them to be challenged as well.
Yeah, they don't go up the roller coaster for anything, and this is the roller coaster section that we're on with Noah. Coming through Portimao at turn 11, it's looking good in the middle sector, 51.6, and that is more like it, 5/10 up. So he is theoretically going to be going around Link's sort of area, possibly within that top 10 round, and Noah fights the car out of turn 13. Now into Sagres at turn 14, this right-hander. He now comes up in towards turn 15, of course, at Galp. Jensen, though, out on top still. Denzel in second, Dutch Missile in third. Majority of the drivers actually coming up 2 laps, it seems, rather than just the one. Noah now running to the line, and he goes ahead of Link. So he actually puts himself into 10th position, 116.6. Giginio also just starting up on a lap as well, and he's probably going to be one of the next guys to watch, 16.8. There is a slow car in the Mercedes, I think, and that might be Link's on an out lap.
Yeah, Coutinho just invalidating there as he came through. I believe it's turn number 4, so not ideal for him whatsoever. We are starting to see some times lighting up on the timing sheet. Dutch Missile, a quarter of a second up through the middle sector. So this could be the first driver to get into the 115s if he can nail the final part of the lap. We've seen Jensen improve in the first sector as well. In fact, go even slightly faster than the Dutch Missile. So these two really fighting hard at the moment. He just slings it around the final corner in the Alfa Romeo towards the finish line. Dutch Missile heads across the line. 1:16.041 in the end. Fastest of everyone. Jensen's backed off on that lap, but he has got enough time to set another lap. But early on in this session, well, early on the final runs, advantage Dutch Missile.
Yeah, advantage Dutch Missile indeed. That is a very hard name to say, to be honest, especially when you've got a throat mental in your mouth at the minute. Pat, by the way, is 4th, 16.2. He's also backed out of his lap, so the Red Bull not going to be improving so far, but it is just Dutch Missile out on top. Jensen in second, Denzo in third. Currently, IFR 1, 2, 3, 4, which is not too shabby at all.
No, it's not. I've just been watching Funky Chicken come across the line behind Zoidamo. It looks like they've finally got their slipstreaming sorted out, and Funky Chicken actually gained 4/10 of a second there and gets himself up into 13th. So it took them a few times, but they have finally, looks like they've got it done. Pat, he's, well, of course, he's just getting ready to start his next lap as well. Rudy, he has improved in that first sector, 200ths up on the Dutch Missile at the moment, and fastest of everyone. So maybe, we were talking about one McLaren in Jensen, maybe Rudy could make it 2 McLarens towards the front.
Yeah, and we'll see coming through the middle sector. No, maybe not, because he's just invalidated coming out of the middle sector. So Rudy, 16.2, currently in 5th position, will not be getting the lap in for now, but he will be as he comes through the final couple of corners. Dutch Missile is retired, coming into the pit lane. So Dutch Missile feels he's done enough. Jensen's purple in the middle sector, however. So Jensen now, 116.1. He's got to try and find a lot of improvement. Coming through gap, you've got to try and take as thin a line as possible. He's got deployment to use up as well towards the end of his lap. And now Jensen on the run to the line. Is this the first 115 of the night? No, it's a 116, and Jensen goes quickest. Dutch Missile in second. Denzo, 700 up coming out of the middle sector as well. Pat is just in behind. Not sure what his middle sector's doing, but Denzo really fights the cars. Nuff goes third as well, 16.1, so good lap from him. But now Denzo coming around the final couple of corners in towards Galp at turn 15, and he's got to really try and take a deep line coming through turn 15. Funky Chicken has retired, and Denzo backs out. So Denzo, with no deployment, backs out of his lap. So he's not going to improve above 4th.
No, he's going to, well, 4th place is the best it's going to be for him. Perpetuum just heading around the final corner now. He's only 13 thousandths faster than his previous best time. So where's this going to be for Perpetuum? Does get himself up into 12th place in the end. Boss Wanted has got himself up into 15th. We've got the Alfa Romeo of Isu coming around the final corner as well. I think there's a few more starting to set times as well. Black Box is 7th. Noah goes up to 10th. Isu gets into 13th position, I should say now. Bunty, he's coming around the final few corners. It looks like Connor has managed to get a lap as well. So Connor just setting a lap on that set of mediums. He goes 16th in the end. And Bunty is going to be, I believe, the final car to set a lap time, although it does look as though Fleddy is actually going for another time, and Lynx was going for another time, I should say. Bunty, he goes into 18th, and I think we can say, it looks like Jensen's going to be on pole position.
Yeah, that is the end of qualifying. I'm just flicking through. I think Agenio's backed off his lap, and 16.7 is not an improvement on him. He did 3 laps and that's to the soft, but it is Jensen, that man there, out on top. Dutch Missile in second, Pat in third. This is what you get, by the way, for listening to me in terms of my LOE commentary. Jensen performed well around here in LOE. Now on pole position, takes the first inaugural pole position of the TTML. No assist here, of course, TTML F1. But Jensen out on top, Dutch Missile in second, Pat in third. And to be honest, top three are IFR. Top three also covered by 500ths of a second.
Yeah, extremely close between those top three. I wonder how much practicing they've been doing. Like 4 out of the top 5 IFR. So you got Denzo in 5th, Nuff in 4th place. Didn't find as much time on the soft tyres as I think we perhaps expected. He was pretty quick on the mediums, but in the end still doing a good job. Noah's got into 10th place, but 3-lap-old soft tyres. That's going to be a bit difficult for him, I think, at the start of this race. And then you've got drivers, Lynx, Perfection, especially on that alternate strategy. What can he do? How far up the order can he get in this race? We'll have to wait and see, as we are just waiting for qualifying to come to an end.
Yeah, definitely so. Nuff coming back in as well. We're only waiting on him to retire, but it is Jensen, as you say, out on top. Dutch Missile in second, Pat in third. I've got one eye on the weather, by the way. We'll run through the full grid order now. It is Jensen out on top. Dutch Missile in second, Pat in third. Nuff there in fourth. Good qualifying from him with Denzo in fifth. Rudy in second. McLarens and Red Bulls showing quite a strong showing. Blackbox there in 7th, Tom Robbo in 8th, Fleddy in 9th, Noah ran off the top 10, and the top 10 covered by just over 5/10 of a second. Lynx in 11th, Perpetuum in 12th, Isu in 13th, Kaginio in 14th, Funky Chicken in 15th, Connor 8/10 off in the end on the set of mediums. He could have improved probably towards the top end of the field, I think, if he went onto a set of softs. Boss Wanted there in 17th, Bunty in 18th, Zernemer, defending Division 2 champion, of course, well down the field, down at the back of the field in 19th position. But Jensen out on top, Dutch Missile second, Pat in third. And looking at the weather conditions, I've got one eye on the TAS system. It says overcast to begin off with, 15% chance of rain, and then storm 60 minutes into the race. So it seems like we're going to be going through the ringer of the weather.
Yeah, just find it interesting that Connor actually went for a set of the medium tyres there, because I think a set of softs is going to get you until the rain comes. I think you've got a chance. It's going to be between 10 and 15 minutes where we're going to see the rain. I think you could have got there on a set of the soft tyres. And yeah, storm conditions at the end of the race. This could well be slicks to intermediates to full wets at the end. And when you go past the pit lane, how heavy the rain starts to fall could well determine this race. You're going to need a lot of skill. You might just need that tad bit of good fortune as well.
Yeah, it is like Division 2, actually, in terms of the tyres around here, because obviously we've got the dry compounded tyres going. We saw rain about lap 6, lap 7 in the F2 race, and hopefully it is going to be the same weather, because it started to turn really, really heavy, the rain, right towards the end of the race. Within the final 8 laps, I think it was, we had a couple of safety cars in there as well. So goodness knows what's going to happen. Nuff, by the way, I'm just going to read out this comment that he's put in Discord, because I think it's absolutely hilarious. Nuff is celebrating his middle sector like the second coming of Jesus Christ. And on that note, we'll go to the track map.
Yeah, we will indeed. This for track then, we all know, Portimao, of course, but the drivers will be going around 4.653 kilometres, 15 turns, 2 DRS zones. They're not going to have DRS for that long, though, are they? I think we've already determined that around the 15 corners of this track. And as we just take a look then at what tyres everyone is going for, and we've seen a bit of a mix there between mediums and soft tyres. I thought we'd see a few more outside the top 10 take their chances on the softs, but it's only the 2 Alpines.
Yeah, Funky Chicken and Zerdeman, they've probably been told that the rain is probably going to come sooner rather than later. So, as I say, around lap 6, lap 7 is probably where the rain is going to start falling. It's about 10, 15 minutes into the race. All of the guys on a set of mediums, Lynx, Perpetuum, Isuki, Kaginio, Connor, which is very interesting, down in 16th. Him on a set of mediums, he's going to be flying. Bunty there also on a set of mediums, along with Boss Wanted, he's disqualified from the formation lap. He must have had a collision with somebody. But those guys on a set of mediums, they're going to be aiming, I think, with the rain. If the rain comes around the 15-minute mark, we're going to be about 10 laps into the race. So they're going to be fine in terms of transition over to the inters. If the rain starts falling around lap 5, lap 6, which I think it will, those guys in the set of softs, Funky Chicken and Zerdemer certainly, are going to be the ones to watch out for.
Yeah, they're also going for the start of the race. It's a decent run here from the start-finish line towards turn number 1. Not quite as long as the circuit not too far away from here. Catalunya, one of the longest on the calendar. But yeah, they'll be hoping... They've pretty much put their eggs in that basket. If it's raining more towards the 10 minutes, those drivers on the mediums, Lynx, Perpetuum, they're obviously hoping that it starts raining around about the 15 minutes, and it is fairly light towards that part of the circuit, and maybe they can just get a bit more extra life, and that could well determine this race. If the softs can last until it's wet enough for intermediates, they're going to be in a fantastic situation. If they can't, drivers like Lynx, Perpetuum and Isu could be looking very good indeed.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, obviously, Funky Chicken and Zerda, but they're going to be hoping, above hope, that there's contact ahead of them as well, and they're going to be gaining positions. This is the best camera angle, by the way, that we've got on the rundown from Turn 1, looking at the start-finish line. Luke, I am going to come across to you. Who on earth is your top 3?
Oh, that's a bold one to go for, especially when we don't know when it's going to rain. I am going to go for Jensen, Dutch Missile, and Rudy.
Interesting. Not saying because the top 2 are just there because they're in the top 2 positions. Who knows what's going to happen, of course, here in Portimao at the Algarve International Circuit. The final car's just joined up. I think we're waiting on Connor to rejoin up onto the grid. But we are just moments away from TTML F1. The no assist here beginning for the first time, of course, on a Sunday night. Hopefully, we're going to be getting underway. I think because Connor rejoined in qualifying, however, it might have caused a little bit of a glitch. Boss Wanted now undisqualified, and hopefully we are going to be getting this race underway. Gagini has left the session. He can rejoin back, of course, when the formation lap has ended, so he will be able to rejoin when this race gets going, I should say. I think we're waiting on possibly Connor, maybe Bunty as well. Those two certainly left the session, I can remember, but it looks like we're stuck on the grid.
Does look like we're stuck on the grid. We've got a prediction here of P1 Jensen, P2 Dutch Messal, P3 Denzo. So Pat and Noof not getting the love here. I think Pepsi Freak was absolutely right. This is going to be a fun one when we eventually get away, because it doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon, unfortunately. Just to add to the tension, and hopefully I might take a bit of a screenshot of the weather here for the drivers, because of course, hopefully we'll get the same weather later on.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of red X's, by the way. Kagini has obviously left the session. Funky Chicken has left the session as well. So, I think... Oh, we've got a blue screen. Absolutely typical. We've got a blue screen. And obviously, that means we're going to be restarting the lobby as well. The absolute joys of the F1 game. And hopefully, you're going to still be tuning in while we get the lobby back up and running. Not the greatest thing in the world, of course, to start off for TTML F1. But clearly, you could tell there was a few issues, obviously, with drivers joining in and out of qualifying. Connor's, obviously, his connection really failing them again. He was kept on joining. Bunty, I think, had a problem with the weather, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So this might all spawn back to the task system. But in terms of F1, we are restarting. Just had to confirm. Funky Chicken is going to be restarting the lobby, so invites will be sent out very shortly indeed, which means you're just going to hear 2 Northerners now ranting on for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, what more would you love? What more would you love to hear? Yeah, I think, should we take this time actually to, we'll take this time to go through a few things. Shall we get up the calendar for this season and show our lovely viewers where we're going to be racing over the next few months?
Yeah, I have got the TTML calendar right here with me. And of course, we were in Portimao for round 1 of the championship. All the races, F2, F3, F4, F5, already complete. Next week, we go to Baku, where the old meets the new, of course. Probably one of the most hated circuits of any F1 calendar, if I've got to be honest. It's an absolute nightmare to drive around there, even in an F2 car. Azerbaijan, obviously, round 2. And then we've got the first of the sprint races. The sprint races, of course, it is 25% race. Obviously determined, I think, with one-shot qualifying as well, and that will set the grid. And the sprint race will set the grid for the actual race. So it's only going to take about 5 or 10 minutes longer, but we go to Imola for that race. And Imola commentated there yesterday. Such a good track to commentate on. A lot of drama in the LOE race as well. And Imola, obviously one of those tracks where everyone is going to love it. It's a classic track. And to let everyone know, I'm going to be commentating there on my birthday. And you can probably tell what day that is as well.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday for the future, because I will forget by then. I am a man. I don't remember dates. But yeah, it should be something really interesting. I think the sprint race, it'd be interesting to see how different people take it. Imola seems to provide a lot of good action on this game. I was a bit worried that it might be a bit difficult, but we'll have to wait and see. France as well, always on the game, is fantastic. It just seems to be absolutely brilliant on this game. And ending at Singapore, that could be a cruel end to the season. We've seen many races there go over an hour by the time you've had rain and safety cars, so that's going to be another thing to watch out for. All in all, I think, a good calendar. And being only 10 races, you've got to hit the ground running. You can't really afford to have 1 or 2 bad races because then it's championship chances over.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously, with a delay like this, obviously in restarting the lobby, it sets them drivers back into mentality of, are we going to be actually getting going tonight? Hopefully we will be. Hopefully we are going to be going second time around. I'm just going to put in a screenshot, by the way, into the Division Admins chat that we've got access to, of course, with the weather. I've just taken that from the task system. So that is the weather there. And to run through what it actually was going to be, it was overcast up until the 15-minute mark, then light rain, 27% of rain expected, half an hour into the race, light rain, 45 minutes into the race, light rain. So that's probably where the race would end. But then storm conditions after that. So obviously the heavy rain is then going to come. Whether or not we're going to be getting the same conditions, I think we can obviously get the custom weather set up. So in terms of the drivers, that's what they've got to prepare for, and that's what they've got to look forward to, of course, out on track. And hopefully we'll be getting the lobby set up very soon indeed. Running you through the rest of the calendar, as Luke was alluding to as well, I'll just get it back up on my end. Give me a second. I'll click on the right channel first. Hungary, of course, ran for the championship, then the Netherlands, then Russia. And then we have a Christmas break. Unbelievable. TTML actually having a break for once. For Christmas, obviously. Round 7 of the championship in Canada. France plays host the second sprint race, plus, of course, the 50% race that you're seeing tonight. Mexico. And then another track that the drivers might hate, Singapore, to end off the season.
Yeah, it's I think definitely towards the end of the season, that is going to be... It's going to be quite a tough one at Singapore. Other races which I think are going to cause some fun, Canada as well. That's so on this game seems to be a bit more of a one-stop strategy than it used to be. That always used to be the nailed on two-stop, I think, back in the day, the Canadian Grand Prix. On this game, it does seem that you can make a one-stop strategy work. We could see weather play a part at quite a few of these circuits as well. It's not like we've got any of the we've not got any of the Middle Eastern tracks where you're guaranteed not to get rained. It could well be one of those seasons where you do get quite a few wet races. Baku next time out, we've already said about the way things work in TTML, only being a short season, nearly everyone gets points. It's going to be a bit of a race of survival, I think, that one, especially in the EML race I commentated on. I'm not sure about Premier. It was all about surviving.
It was all about surviving, and honestly, survival is key around a track, of course, like Singapore, like Baku as well next week. It is going to be one of those tracks where obviously the drivers are going to have to focus. They're going to have to get it into their heads that they don't want to make one mistake. One mistake will take you out the race around any of those tracks. So obviously it is going to be really difficult. Hungary, of course, Monaco without the barriers is going to be really interesting, of course, to see how drivers get on around there. Lobby invites are being given out, by the way. It has been requested by Funky Chicken, if you are listening to the stream, that people who aren't currently within the lobby, me and Luke certainly are currently not within the lobby, and he is setting up all of the settings and everything on that end. So if you know anyone that's on your friends list who is racing tonight, send them an invite in. We want to get going, of course, as soon as possible, as I've actually just received an invite from Jensen. Soon as I said that, so thank you, Jensen, for that. I will give you all Mr. Luke Etheridge. And also, in terms of this, the drivers must start on the tyres that were selected. So, drivers that were starting on a set of soft compound tyres, on a set of medium compound tyres, everyone has got to start on that compound of tyre. However, of course, with the top 10, certainly, they get to start on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. And the rest of the guys, of course, stay. So, really, it's all evened out between the field.
Yeah, that's going to be the advantage for those in the top 10, of course, is that they've now got a fresh set of tyres. Noah, I think especially, we mentioned at the end of qualifying, he'd done 3 laps on his set of the soft tyres. He's had a bit of a redo here. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. Maybe he was flicking a switch at Commentators to get himself a fresh set of tyres, because he's got away with one there.
Away with one there, definitely. And obviously, further down the field, we had Connor on a set of medium compound tyres. He's going to be probably one to look out for. Perpetuum as well. Obviously, these guys will be getting going very soon indeed. I think we've got to set up a custom grid and all of this as well. So hopefully we'll be able to join. Fleddy, by the way, saying he can't join. Let him restart very quick. I think I saw him actually within the lobby. He's not. I need to select spectator mode, actually. No wonder we haven't got 19 drivers within the lobby yet, because I was still showing as not a spectator, which was terrible from our point of view. But hopefully we're going to be getting soon, very soon indeed. I'm going to have a look actually at the comments section, see how you guys are doing on this fine Sunday night. Thank you, of course, for tuning in. And if you are expecting the real life Formula 1, that has already happened, of course. So unlike BNL last night, who got like 1,000 views on that video, don't think we're going to get that far.
Yeah, certainly. I think maybe that's a bit of a trick for the future, is just copy whatever circuits Formula 1 are racing on. Unfortunately, we can't do Qatar in 2 weeks' time. We might be able to do Saudi Arabia in 3 weeks' time, but I'm not sure the drivers would be too happy over that. And to be honest, I think I'd prefer to do Hungary than Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure the Saudi circuit, is going to be finished. It could well be a bit like Hanoi last year, where the only place you can drive, Jeddah, is on the Formula 1 game.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting circuit, of course. We have to get into discussion, of course, about the new track up and coming. Are we going to see racing around there physically in terms of a 27-corner circuit? I mean, whoever designed that circuit must be absolutely mad. Herman Tilke, I'm looking at you. 27 corners around, of course, a night circuit as well. So it is going to be fascinating to see, of course, how that happens and comes into the game. It should be quite good to drive. However, I get the feeling, coming through that S section, it's a bit like the Miami Grand Prix circuit, to be honest, in 2022, where you have really close to the barriers. One mistake will probably knock off your front wing and you'll probably end up at the race.
Yeah, certainly. I think as well, being a freshly laid circuit, remember this happening with Korea 2010, the dust offline was unbelievable. You make a slight mistake in the S's, it's going to be, I think, single file through that circuit, even if you're a car that's going to try and get out of the way of the faster car. So I'm going to feel really sorry for Schumacher and Mazepin in that race, because I think they're going to let a car by, get on the dirty stuff, and just slide straight towards the barrier. That's if that race happens, of course. And then Abu Dhabi being the last race of the actual season. In a way, we've got 3 tracks that we've never seen. We've never seen Qatar in F1. We've never seen Saudi Arabia in F1. And it is a new layout at Abu Dhabi. They've changed the what was the Marina Straight. The second of the DRS zones now goes into a very long left-hander rather than that awkward left-right-left chicane. And they've cut out the chicane at the end of the first sector to make a better overtaking opportunity into that hairpin. Hopefully, it will provide better racing. And fair play to them to actually listen to the feedback and thinking, you know what, we have got to change something about this circuit.
Yeah, and Abu Dhabi obviously is not going to be imported within the game, I don't think, on this current version of F1. Probably for the next game, I would think. Unless, of course, they come out after Christmas and say, obviously, Abu Dhabi is going to be changing. We're going to change Spain and all of that as well. And Australia as well has also had a bit of an upgrade in terms of their races. Of course, not going there in real life this season. But in terms of TTML, we're about to get going once again, of course, out on track. Really thank you, of course, for staying tuned in to TTML F1 and for keeping us two Northerners company, of course, in the commentary box. We really appreciate that, honestly. We are about to get going, though. I'm on a black screen at the minute, which is not that great. Hopefully, we'll be getting onto track very soon indeed. And let's have a look at the track map once again, if we can.
Yeah, we'll get that track map up once again for everyone that's sitting there at home. You can see there the 15 corners. I must say, Codemasters have butchered the track map, but thankfully they haven't butchered the track. The 2 DRS zones. I've seen odd drivers try the overtaking opportunities into turn 5, but not many.
Not many. I've seen drivers actually go for the move in towards turn 5. Dive Bombs Central and F2, NRX Sonoda was certainly one. I am still on a black screen, and I'm getting very concerned. I'm not sure if you're the same, Luke, in terms of having a black screen, but I'm on a black screen at the minute. Hopefully, we're going to be getting going. If not, then something is really going to happen very soon. But I'm really hoping that the 30-second countdown is just in behind the screen, and then we get, obviously, onto the formation lap. But who knows what is going to be happening? Who knows what everyone else is thinking at the minute? But, yeah, not the greatest start to TTML F1. A few teething problems, but at least it's the first week. I'm actually now 30-second countdown. Thank God.
Oh, I was getting very worried there. I imagine that was just while the tyre screen was going on as well, just to make things, obviously, that longer wait, where we normally get the 30 seconds in qualifying, because now the drivers will be picking setups and strategies and deciding what to go for. I think they are just picking their final few tyres, making sure they're on the same tyres that they were earlier on, although we have got a few drivers here saying apparently the weather is slightly different. So, who knows? This might be a... apparently they only get 3 tiles as well, so they can't pick for specific weather. So that's a bit of a shame that they're not able to do that. I always thought you were able to change the weather a bit more than that, but we'll have to live with what we've got and see how things happen. As we can confirm, drivers, as you can see, are now back out on track again, and they have all picked the same tyres.
Yeah, which is really good, and that actually negates the advantage, of course, that the bottom half of the field would have actually had. Those guys on the set of soft compound tyre would be now quicker, you would imagine, because they're starting a fresh set of soft compound tyres, so they're not going to be 3-lap one like I think it was Noah was after his qualifying lap. So Noah has got a bit of a saving grace. In fact, all of the top 10, I've got to say, have got a saving grace. Jensen had 2-lap old soft compound tyres, so he's obviously not going to feel the effects of that either. But what happens in terms of this race? Where are the key points going to be? Hopefully there's going to be no contact. Hopefully nobody's going to leave during the formation lap. And hopefully we're in, possibly, for a very clean race.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we get everything working
out. Oh, it's raining. It's raining. It's just begun to rain out on track.
Well, that is, I've never seen this happen before. I've never seen it start raining on the formation lap. Of course, this happened in the real Portimao race last year, didn't it? In 2020, he was spitting very lightly on the formation lap, and we saw Carlos Sainz shoot his way up the order. But yeah, definitely soft tyres are the ones to be on now, and I think some of the drivers are a bit unhappy that they've been forced to go back onto the set of mediums.
And especially in terms of the custom weather, if they only get 3 tiles, like Funky Chicken's obviously being said, he's the lobby host, if they only get 3 tiles, this obviously wasn't in the plan. It was all automated, of course, from the game. This obviously now customized, brings the rain earlier on, compared to what we would have assumed was lap 6, lap 7 onwards. So those guys now have got to really weather in the tyres. It's just spinning at the minute. It's not going to really affect the track. However, I think around lap 5, lap 6, we're going to begin to see this track get affected, and then we're going to see intermediate compound of tyres possibly earlier on in this race, and then we're going to have a very short, heavy rain stint later on in this race. But it is raining out on track. Top 3 reminder was Jensen, Dutch Missile, and Rudy Luke.
Yeah, that was my prediction. Whether that turns out to be true, there's a reason why they call it a commentator's curse. We'll have to wait and see. Zoidema just heading into his grid slot now. Maybe watch out for him because he's got a warm set of soft tyres.
He has indeed, right down the back of the field. Funky Chicken as well in 15th position. Hopefully this is the time where we are going to be going, finally, for the TTML F1 race. As now we flick onto the screen. Hopefully we're going to get going. I really hope there's going to be revving engines coming up any second now. And I think we've got the same problems, have we? No, 5 red lights are on, and it's lights on, and away we go. Oh, and that's yeah. Half the grid's still on the... Half the grid is still on the...
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have to restart this. The 5 red lights went out. I saw the lights coming on after different drivers had set off. They're going to have to restart. This is a bit of a mess, unfortunately.
I didn't see the 5 red lights actually come on my end. There's front wings flying everywhere. This is not the official race, by the way. There's a dive bomb, I think. I'm not sure who even is driving at this stage, to be honest. But everyone now, we're going to be restarting once again. And now we get the updated timings, which is so weird. Cody's, fix your game out, for goodness sake. Dutch Missile leads. Jensen in second, Denzo in third. Lobby is broke. I think somebody else will be hosting as well. I could probably do it, to be honest. I've got the lobby settings from another league, which is very similar to TTML, but who knows? We are going to be getting restarted, though. Hopefully, we are going to have a bit of a thingy, and I think is going to host. He normally hosts PSGL, if I'm not mistaken, so I think we'll be fine, and there's a massive collision coming in towards turn 13.
Yeah, so unsurprisingly, race has been... Like, this is not counting. We are basically under red flag conditions. This is, yeah, it's, unfortunately this happens. You know, it's, there's not a lot we can do about it. But yeah, the lobby will be getting restarted again. And for a race which, let's not forget, originally this was meant to start at 7 o'clock. Because of the Brazilian Grand Prix, it got pushed back to 7:15, and we're now at 8 o'clock. So, we're back to nearly the old start times that we were used to over the previous seasons. But fingers crossed this will be the final time. They say third time's for charm.
Third time is the charm. Obviously, we're going to have to make a decision if it doesn't work, of course, in terms of how this race is going to look at. Funky Chicken is probably going to be, or somebody else at least is going to be restarting the lobby. Isu obviously complaining about the rain. Just to come on to this as well, about the rain, they only get 3 custom weather slots. So, obviously, I sent in a screenshot, and it said on my screenshot, and I will tell you now on stream live what it said on my screenshot on the task system that we have access to. It was overcast for the first 10 minutes of the race. 15 minutes in, light rain from there, and then storm conditions 60 minutes in. So you can't really have overcast, well, you can kind of have overcast, then light rain. but you've got to pick and choose your 3 slots out of the 7 that we've been provided that is actually shown within the game. So I think it's really careful to try and draw, oh, it's his fault. It's not. It's really not his fault. Honestly, he's got a really hard job as Funky Chicken, but I think he's did the right thing. Obviously, put Overcast, Light Rain, Storm in. The game then takes over control, automates what the weather is going to be like, and if we did that again, who knows? It might not rain actually on the first lap.
Yeah, but it's weird as well because of the way the slots work out. They're not evenly with the time. I know when I used to be playing the F1 games, I was thinking, well, it's always raining earlier than the game suggested. It's raining on the 4th slot, and we're a quarter of the way through the race, and we are starting to get rain. They are more closely packed together. So at the start, the slots are like every 5 or so minutes, and towards the end, they get to every 15 minutes, which is why you've almost got to basically the halfway slot on the game. The 4th slot out of the 7 is 15 minutes into the race, not halfway through the race. So that's always a bit difficult for one of the drivers to work out. Fingers crossed we will be getting underway this time. I think we are going to obviously have a different host. I wonder if we're going to turn the formation lap off as well, because that maybe that's one of the issues that's causing the bigger problem.
Possibly, yeah. Zerdamer is going to be host, by the way, so get adding up XL_Zerdamer if you do want to be, of course, invited in. I'm sure everyone will be invited in, including us. Hopefully we don't get left out in terms of the commentary, but I'm sorry that this has had to happen. It's just the state of the game, I'm afraid. Obviously, Funky Chicken hosting, causing a few problems. Drivers joining within qualifying as well might have had something to do with this as well. Coginio, Connor, and there was another driver in that as well. There was certainly 3. I think it was Bunty, actually. So those 3 drivers obviously might have caused that little bit of a glitch. We don't know. Obviously, it's the code in the game that causes this. And the code in the game is, quite frankly, shocking. And this is why people complain about the game.
Yeah, it's a shame, because it definitely, in recent times, it seems to be getting a bit better. I know the old formation lap glitch doesn't seem, well, the older timing glitches don't seem to be as bad as they once were. We still get it saying lap 2 right at the start of the race, but apart from that, it is livable. Yeah, just such a shame that obviously we have had that issue and it doesn't look like we're going to be too far away from getting started. Hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully it'll work this time, because I think if it doesn't, could well be a race postponed.
It could well be a race postponed, and of course, where would the race be run is probably the first question on everyone's mind. Who knows? We are hopefully going to be getting this, as you say, Luke, 3rd time's a charm. I'm really hoping 3rd time is going to be a charm in this case. Funky Chicken, we really feel sorry for anyone that has been affected, of course, by this. The drivers are obviously at a stage as well where they're probably getting sick. Some of them might not be able to make this race start as well, but hopefully we get all 19 drivers in. I am into the lobby. I'm going to fly you an invite over, Luke, if you haven't got one. I will get you one over there now, and there we go. But we are now within the lobby, or certainly I am within the lobby. We're going to be getting custom weather, 33 laps worth of racing. And I'm going to have a look, actually, at the settings on the lobby, because I will be able to tell you what we have in terms, I think, of the weather, if I'm not mistaken. Weather and time of day is on custom weather, and session time is random. So just to confirm that, it is on custom weather.
Yeah, it is on custom weather, though. We are seeing some screenshots that show you can definitely only put free weather things in. So Codys, if you're watching, maybe want to change that one for the future, just to make it slightly better. Of course, that means we might now not get rain right at the start of the race. We might get it at a different part. We'll have to wait and see. We haven't got much knowledge of what's about to happen in this race, guys, but that just makes it all the more exciting, right?
It does, and obviously unexpected. Anything can probably happen in Formula 1. Anything can happen on the same racing side as well. And hopefully we are going to be getting underway, as I say, very soon indeed. If you are tuning in, you've been tuning in since 7 o'clock, thank you so much, or 7:15. Thank you so much for tuning in. We wouldn't do this stream, of course, without you. Jensen, by the way, saying lost for words with this game, like for real. We totally understand, I think, to be honest. And Charlie also saying about turn 1, weather is only approximate anyways, as well as what Kermit has said about the weather. But hopefully we are going to be getting underway very soon indeed. TTML F1, Season 6, Round 1, Portuguese Grand Prix. Hopefully it is going to be Round 1. Hopefully this is the 3rd time's a charm. If not, then my imagination would be that we're going to go for a race postponement tonight. And of course, I feel sorry for every single driver who has practiced this track and has put time and effort into their racing. And simply, if that race doesn't happen, then we can't really do anything about it. it's out of our hands. It's all to do with the game.
Yeah, but fingers crossed it does. I noticed on the PC side they were having a few issues as well, as I've just noticed that Funky Chicken is a spectator, and that's why it says 2 spectators, and I wasn't. So we have managed to fix that one. I am now back where I should be. But yeah, this is it is a shame for the drivers as well. Like you said, perhaps, especially those that are in Europe. Let's not forget, it's currently 8 minutes past 9 there. If any of these have got school, work in the morning, it's going to be getting pretty late by the time we get to the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are struggling, by the way, to get within the lobby, please restart the game. Restart the game completely, restart the application. You should be fine. You should be able to get back within this session. So hopefully we're going to be going very soon indeed. Of course, the custom grid is being formed as all of these drivers now begin to join up. Obviously, this puts a bit of a strain on the drivers. What will they be feeling like mentally? Because they've had 2 disruptions to the race start. Third time, hopefully, is going to be a charm. And if it is, hopefully, we're going to be getting underway for a very clean race. But what will the drivers be feeling mentally at this stage?
I think it's just a bit like frustration, fed up. It's sort of knowing that it's out of everyone's control. And I think this time around they'll be thinking, oh God, is it going to happen again? Are we going to have it happen for a third time or whatever? But they're just going to try and put it to the back of their mind right now. There's not worrying about it. Is it going to make this situation better? So you just got to try and, if you can, get it out of your head. It won't be the first time they've been in this situation. It's not going to be the last time they're going to be in this situation. So they might as well just try the best to get on with it.
Yeah, try the best to get on with it, indeed. Funky Chicken is now not spectator mode, by the way, so he's not joining us in the commentary box. He is Northern as well, by the way. He did do the F4 commentary on Friday, of course, alongside Conti. If you do want to tune in for that, of course, you can. We're just waiting on one more Williams, I believe. Nuth is in the lobby, so it's the other one of Tom Robbo that we are waiting on. So Tom Robbo, I think, is just restarting his game. So hopefully we're going to be getting going very soon. And if it is the case, then obviously we are going to be flying, of course, out on track. Tom Robbo is rejoining the session, hopefully very soon indeed. We are moments away from beginning for the 3rd time, Season 6, Round 1 of the Championship, the Portuguese Grand Prix at the Algarve International Circuit. And actually, I've just seen Tom Robbo was getting a wet setup apparently in time trial.
Who can... Sneaky. I can't really blame him for that. I cannot blame him one bit for that. That is... I think something definitely I'd be doing at this moment in time is going for a bit of a wet setup. That could be a moment of genius, shall we say.
It could be indeed, and of course, it all depends on how the weather is going to unfold out on track. Tom Robbo, I think, has just joined the lobby. So I believe we are now ready to go once again within the session, and hopefully, 3rd time is a charm, and hopefully this is the one for the Portuguese Grand Prix. We've had no problems so far in terms of how we've seen the race in F2. It was a very good race, very changeable race as well in terms of the weather conditions, very similar to what we should be experiencing tonight. Readying up, by the way, is not on at this moment in time. So if you are readied up, please do not ready up at this stage. We are still waiting, of course, for the custom grid, I think, to be formed. And that's all we're waiting on, I think.
Yeah, I think we are just waiting. Of course, Funky needs to make sure he gets this right with the custom grid. Otherwise, we could be heading to another restart. But we are just now waiting for that. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to this race. The tension now is, you can taste it. I mean, it's been a while since these drivers have driven. Of course, they'll be all pumped up later on, getting ready for this. But maybe... I don't know how this is going to affect drivers based on how much practice they do and when they do their practice. Because if you're one of those that's likes practicing right up until the end of the session, you've basically had 30, 40 minutes. Well, you've had about 30 minutes now of sitting about doing nothing. So that might affect you more than if you're someone who likes to have a bit of a break before the session.
Well, I mean, Jensen's on pole position. Apparently, he only had one practice session before coming into the lobby. So if Jensen can do it, anybody can in terms of getting a really good lap. Jensen has also put, pray to the Lord Jesus Christ and so our prayers actually work. There we are.
I'd pray to everyone.
I think we have to pray to everyone. We are about to get going. This is it. 3rd time is a charm. Hopefully this is time now for the Portuguese Grand Prix to get underway. If not, then it's more than likely going to be then, of course, me and Luke, as league directors, we can tell you that it's going to be probably a race postponement, of course. But if it is, then, of course, we will let you know. Communication is key moving forward, of course, in TTML, and hopefully we will provide you with that and a scheduled date, of course, for Portimao. More than likely, if I've got to put my money on it, maybe the end of the season, maybe within one of the break weeks, of course, in the middle of the season. Probably that. But Dutch LP Internet is now key. Zerma has joined out of source as the host. Denzel, we're just waiting on readying up, and the tension builds for the Portuguese Grand Prix.
And at least we haven't got a black screen this time. We can see a track map with a countdown, so that's something. That is progress.
It is progress. We're just waiting on Denzel to ready up. Hopefully Denzel is there at his controller or at his wheel to ready up. And there is a bit of a glitch, actually. What happens, I've been informed a bit of a glitch. Denzel not readying up, it does make him get kicked out the session. So hopefully that is not the case. And again, it looks very I've got to say, it looks more overcast than what it did the last 2 times.
Yeah, well, we'll just bring this up quickly so you guys can see. It looks the dullest it has looked so far. So I think this could well be one of those again where on the formation lap, we're going to get a tiny bit of rain, folks.
Yeah, possibly so. And hopefully we are going to be getting going, as I say, very soon. And you can see Fleddy in his Mercedes. He has chosen that, it's a hard compound of tyres at the minute. I think they're just selecting their tyres at this stage for them to race on. If we do get underway, this will be probably the most tensest race you will probably ever see in TTML. A lot of time has built up to this point. We are pretty much an hour now from the original race start. 3 goals later, hopefully this is going to be the one. And once again, let us take you through the track map in question. The Portimao, of course, the Algarve International Circuit. There's 15 turns. Of course, only the 2D rest zones. One, of course, down the start-finish straight. One, of course, in towards turn 5 as well. That's down in towards Torre Vip. And here we go. Formation lap is back on. Formation lap about to begin. And now we are back underway for the Portuguese Grand Prix. At last, as there's a bloke joined.
Yeah. He's joined after the formation lap, so that shouldn't cause any problems. Yeah. Please, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm looking at my Ethernet cable, just working out whether I can tie a noose out of it if this game crashes one more time.
Really hope not. But as we look at everyone's tyres, of course, everyone is on the same compound of tyre, which is good. Top 10, of course, qualifying on that set of soft compound of tyre. They get a fresh compound of tyre, of course, for softs. Everyone else, of course, on a set of mediums. Bar Funky Chicken and Zerdema, of course, who were down at the back of the field. Zerdema, of course, Division 2 champion last season. He absolutely took that by the scruff of the neck. This is a totally different challenge, and he's been found out, of course, down in 19th. Yeah,
he qualifying wasn't his biggest strength, to be honest. He was very quick in qualifying a lot of the time, and towards the end of the season, if we're being honest, he was just messing around a bit and quite happy doing last to first challenges, and quite a few times getting very close to finishing in first place as well. We can see the predicted pit stop strategies there. Completely ignore them. We're going to get rain very, very soon, I think. At least this time, though. We haven't had it as early on the formation lap. But yeah, Zoidema, he's got to get out of that mentality of being the target, or being the hunted, I should say. He's now the hunter. So it'll be interesting to see how he can sort of cope with the fact that he's not going to be easily making his way towards the front of the order. Some drivers thrive on the challenge. Some sort of shirk away from it. Zoidema doesn't strike me as that type of person, though.
Yeah, I've just noticed as well the task system is now completely broken as well. So we are literally going off the instinct of what we see in front of us. Good job by both commentators. Yagazan has left the session. Whoever invited him in obviously might feel a little bit of a punishment coming his way. But once again, we are now on the grid. The final cars are rejoining up. Jensen, Dutch Missile, Rudy, top 3 still, Luke?
Well, yeah. I'm still going to go for that. I think even more so now because everyone in the top 10 has a fresh set of the soft tyres, not the used set they had at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, watch out for Connor on a set of medium compound tyres. If he gets a clean start in the Ferrari, he is going to be one to watch out for because he is quick and he is going to be flying his way through the field, one would imagine. But finally, the 5 red lights are about to come on here in Portimao for round number 1 of the championship of Season 6. And it's lights out and away we go. Dutch Missile reacts a lot quicker and he's going to get the run down in towards turn 1 on Jensen. He's already ahead and now Pat to the inside line. We'll look to try and get the inside line as well in towards turn 1. There's a little bit of carnage and actually Jensen holds it around the outside. It's Dutch Missile dropping down the field. Pat now through into second, but Jensen leads coming through turn 3 for the first time. Jensen leads from Pat in second. Dutch Missile at third. A little bit of scrimmaging further down the field. I think Genio was a little bit sideways coming out of there. Funky Chicken dropped down a position as well, but Jensen leads the way. There's side-by-side action further down the field. Nuff and Tom Robert, both the Williams going side by side towards Toro Vip, and Rudy has lost out on this as well. So Rudy has not made the great start as one would imagine, but Jensen leads the way. Patton second, Dutch Missile on third. Through the first half a lap we go.
Yeah, not a bad start. Well, not a bad start by Dutch Missile. Just couldn't quite get alongside enough. It is a very difficult turn one that we said, as I think we have had we had someone going very slowly. Isu's dropped quite a long way down the order. We've got a question. Can someone explain the TAS system? It is a telemetry system that we can use normally to tell you about the damage of the tyres, the drivers, cars as well, and how fast they're doing. Unfortunately, because of the lobby restarts, it is not working. So if you come back next week, we'll be able to tell you a lot more about the TAS system, and that's now Lynx, who's had an issue. He's dropped right down towards the back of the field, but it looks like mostly they have managed to get through the first lap cleanly. No one's had an absolutely massive issue, and it is now Jensen coming across the line 7/10 of a second ahead of Pat Schneider, who's actually had quite a good start as well. You can see there from the positions gained, he's gone up one. Biggest gainer, one of the men you predicted. Connor up 3 places, as has Zoidema.
Isu has gone wide coming through turn 1 as well. Funky Chicken's right on the back of him down in towards turn 3. Can he try and get the move done? Just about. He's alongside, but Isu holds on, and the Spaniard holds on into 14th position. Zoidema, by the way, has also gained 3 positions as well in all that, but Connor up a couple of positions. Lap 12 to 13, I'd say, is on predictive stuff strategy. Don't choose that at all. Jensen leads the way. Pat there in second, Dutch Missile in third. I think you totally didn't get paid, by the way, by Pat to say his name live on stream, coming through down in towards turn 1 there. But Jensen leads the way, Pat in second, Dutch Missile in third. And to be honest, it looks as if the top 3, I should say, are pulling away from Denzo.
Yeah, Jensen's definitely using quite a lot of his ERS at the moment. He's about 20% more than, we'll call him IFL Pat from now on. I'm just waiting for the £5 to hit my bank account for using his full name. Yeah, I was just about to say, I saw a spot of rain there. It has started to rain, so a couple of laps later, a couple of minutes later than what we had it do on our second attempted restart. This is probably a bit more when they would have expected it, but they are still going to, DRS is still going to be activated. First time they'll be able to use it is into turn 5. It's going to be another couple of minutes, well, a couple of laps at least, before the rain is enough for anyone to think about intermediate tyres. But again, this is looking good if you're on a set of softs.
Lynx is down the inside line of Boss Wanted. This is for 17th position. Good move there down the inside line, and now Boss Wanted's going to come back, but unfortunately, he doesn't get the move done, and Lynx is through, and he's into 17th position, locked up there slightly on the back of Zoidema. It is beginning to rain out on track. There is a little bit of a lag actually going on from Lynx's perspective, and that's why we saw him jump. But Jensen leads the way, Patton second. To be honest, the top 2 pull away. Dutch Missile must have made a mistake coming through in towards Tom Vip turn 5, because that is now more than a second gap to Pat just in front. Denzel there in 4th position. I'm on board with him right now. The Red Bull on the back of the Alfa Romeo. Black Box there in 5th, Tom Robbo in 6th. Just an IFR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at this stage, by the way. If you are tuning into the IFR stakes, Connor is also going side by side with Isu, and he's down the inside line, and the team of Dictos, man, just about nearly comes out on top, and Connor now side by side with Isu, and Funky Chicken's in behind him this as well, but Connor holds the inside line, holds the curb, now in towards Sagras at 14. Isu's now on the inside line, and Connor is going to try and take the MotoGP penalty line layout coming through there. But Isu is through, and he's into 13th position. So good move there, and Denzel right on the back of Dutch Missile.
Yeah, Denzel right on the back of Dutch Missile, and he's got the DRS, of course, and Dutch Missile hasn't. So this is a chance down the inside into turn number 1, and Denzel does take that 3rd place at the moment. He has run a tiny bit wide though, and this might allow the Dutch Missile to try and fight back there. That gives him the outside line for the next part of the circuit, but again, he gets the DRS as Isu now gets a penalty, and the Denzo is going to have to go slightly defensive here, and in the end, I think he's just got a bit more confidence on the brakes at this point in the race, but these two battling, he's just dropping them a long way back behind some of the other cars, as you can see from that camera. Well, I say you can see from that camera, you can barely see anything with the size of the raindrops that were on it.
Yeah, the rain, of course, is beginning to fall. It's not really affecting the track so far. I think around lap 7, it is probably going to affect the track. The rain is beginning to come down a little bit heavier as we come through the roller coaster section at the top of the hill and towards Portimao. Jensen leading the way, Patton second. The first 2 have absolutely exploded away. 2 seconds the gap over Denzel in 3rd. Dutch Missile in 4th. Black Box in 5th. Tom Robbo in 6th. Nuth in 7th. Nuth, I should say, in 7th. Rudy in 8th. Noah in 9th. Fleddy in top 10. Funky Chicken's going side by side with Connor. There's a little bit of scrimmaging. I think Isu might have had a spin. Oh, actually, Lynx is in Ghost. That's what I'm seeing. Lynx is ghosted. Totally now desynced on our screen. And Lynx is in 17th position. So hopefully that might fix itself. Lynx on the back. Pat, by the way, for the race lead down in towards Primera was quite close, but Jensen holding on from Pat in second. Coutinho getting moved on Perpetuum, and Lynx back through, obviously, on Boss Wanted, and Bunty is actually Lynx. Does down the inside line, perfectly timed, and he's doing his into 16th. There's Dutch Missile, he's doing his into 3rd.
Yeah, Dutch Missile back ahead of Denzo then, but I'm not sure for how long. And here comes
wide.
Black Box, actually, 3 wide into turn number 5. Fantastic opportunism by Black Box there. Has he got the grip on the exit, though, and the traction? They're still going side by side here. Is Dutch Missile and Black Box. Aston Martin versus Alfa Romeo, and all of a sudden, it just looks like that Aston Martin is getting a bit more grip. He's on the curb, though, at this part of the circuit, coming for the very fast left-hander there of turn number 9, and still Dutch Missile is alongside him. This is absolutely superb action. You can't get caught in dirty air if you're going side by side, and that's Denzo nearly spearing off there and has lost himself a couple of places. They're just starting to struggle a bit more on these slicks.
Yeah, I think the Inters is possibly maybe a lap or 2 away, certainly beginning to affect the track. As you can see, the raindrops on the track as we run on board with Black Box on the back of Dutch Missile. Dutch Missile back through and he's into 3rd. But what a battle that was between them both. Clean, utter respect between them both, and that's exactly what we want to see here in the no assist tier of TTML, as Dutch Missile now is under pressure from Black Box, and Black Box moves to the inside line, gets the job done. He is doing his into P3. I think Perpetuum has spun coming around the final corner. Isu was into the pit lane as well. Not sure if that's induced with contact or if they're both going for a set of inters, but certainly Perpetuum had spun. Isu is also into pit lane, Lynx is also in. Perpetuum 5-second penalty into the pit lane. Lynx onto a set of inters, and inters might be the time to go as Pat, all over the back of Jensen, doesn't get the move done, and everyone just waits on them behind, and it looks like these drivers are beginning to struggle. Speaking of struggling, Funky Chicken has spun coming through turn 4.
Yeah, certainly. I know when I was on board there with Black Box and Dutch Missile, it looked a bit too wet for the dry tyres, but we haven't seen that warning yet. Of course, that DRS has been deactivated. It seems to go a bit later on this game than it has done previous ones, but I think at some point we are going to see it soon. I think you're right, James. A lot of the drivers are going to have to come in on this lap. It is really coming down now. You're starting to see the odd little puddle out on the circuit. If we just sort of look at what times Isu is doing, he's 21 seconds behind as he comes into the braking zone on turn 5, and that is on Bunty. So we'll keep an eye on that lap time. He has lost a bit of time, though, through, well, lost about a 1/10 of a second through that corner, as now we've got Rudy and Noah battling for 8th and 9th place, and now Isu's starting to gain time. This is the lap to come into the pit, and Jensen has carried straight on, and Pat spun it round.
Pat has spun around coming through. Galvin, there's another spinner as well, and that's another thing that has gone off as well, so nothing's off as well. Luckily, just about gets the car going again. I think he's beyond the pit lane. He's going to have to go around again, but everyone is in for that set of inters. I think it's next lap. I think Jensen and Denzel have done a phenomenal job here. They're out on that set of softs still. It is barely that set of softs because Isu's lost 2 seconds compared to Funky Chicken and the likes. Isu's lost 2 seconds, so Jensen, currently, it is still dry compound of tyres, and this is why the guys are pitting in now to try and counteract that. But Jensen and Denzo are going to be gaining time. Nuff is also going to be gaining time in all of this as well. He's going to only gain a couple of positions, but Jensen and Denzo, they could be 5 seconds ahead by the time they come into the pit lane.
Yeah, they could be. This could be working out very well at the moment. You can just see Denzo going around at the moment, 7.7 seconds behind Jensen. I think this is definitely going to be the one where we are going to see drivers struggling a bit more. Watch out for Isu, because he's got that confidence on that set of the intermediate tyres. He knows where the grip is a bit more than those other drivers. It's going to take them a lap or 2 just to get into the swing of things, just to find out where the grip is on this circuit. It was weird, because he definitely gained at one part of the circuit, gained about half a second, and if I'd have seen that, I'd have thought, right, this is definitely the lap. But throughout the rest of the lap, just didn't seem to have that same pace. The rain's definitely coming down. DRS is still activated, I believe. I haven't seen it go unactivated. There we go. Now Jensen comes into the pit. This is going to be one to watch because, of course, Pat had that spin earlier on. So it's it's Black Box and Dutch Missile. They're going to be the 2 drivers Jensen's going to have to watch out for. I think he's going to come out fairly clear.
Yeah, I think the DRS is disabled. Is going to come on probably around halfway through the lap on this lap around. So lap 8 out of 33. Pat now through. And actually, as soon as I say that, DRS is now disabled. Jensen is miles out in front, by the way. He's coming out the pit lane now. Denzel gained time coming into the pit lane as well. And he's going to be side by side possibly with Black Box. There is Black Box coming on the right-hand side of your screen. Denzel now on the left-hand side of your screen. And Denzel actually drops behind Tom Robbo and Actually, Dutch Missile and Tom Robbo, I should say. I thought it was both the Williams he dropped behind, but it's not. It's Jensen leading the way, 5.5 seconds. What gap did I say he would come out of the pit lane at? 5 seconds? Thank you very much.
Yeah, if only your DRS deactivated predictions were that accurate, James, you could really make a bit of a living out of this one. Pat and Rudy have been battling tooth and nail. Then they've all started to save a bit more DRS now that they've been into the pits. Rudy just pulls out of the slipstream slightly, and Pat's gone very deep into turn number 5. Takes a bit of a karting line. In real life, that might work. On the F1 game, the grip is still sort of on the racing line. Of course, if you do take that bit of an outside line, you can get more traction if you've got the car straightened up. But yeah, Pat really struggling to hit the apexes of a lot of these corners, and it's just allowing Rudy to almost get side by side with him into every single one, just not quite alongside enough. Is he going to think of a dive down the inside here? This will be a bit of a brave one into the double right-hander of 10 and 11. We are seeing a lot of side-by-side action here, as we have got some yellow flags, and I think that's Coutinho.
Yep, Coutinho off. I think he spun that by himself. He got past, actually, Connor and all of that. So Connor now up into 11th as a result. Rudy is still side by side with Pat, by the way. Fleddy, I'm just watching on behind as well with Rudy. And this is an unbelievable battle. Now it could be 3 wide down the straight because Pat is on the inside line. Rudy taking the karting line all the way around the outside of Gap. This is bold and brave and brilliant if he tries to follow it up. Dutch Missile also catching Black Box down in towards turn 1. Looks the outside line. Doesn't get the move done, but gets the switch back through Primera at turn 1. Can he get the job done? Tom Roberts just in behind on this as well. Black Box locks up. And Dutch Missile's through, and Tom Robbo's going to follow through as well. And Dutch Missile on the inside line, Tom Robbo on the outside line. Coutinho's retired into the pit lane, and it's still side by side down towards top of it. Black Box and Denzo in behind. 2 by 2 like Noah's Ark. We go. Jensen leads the way, absolutely exploring the way. But Dutch Missile, Tom Robbo, Black Box, and Denzo. It's an IFR cluster. It's an IFR cluster fest at this stage.
I'm so glad you said clusterfest there. I've got to be perfectly honest. We have got another yellow flag that is just for Coutinho leaving the pits. All that battling's done. Yeah, fantastic for Tom Robbo. He's managed to gain himself a couple of positions in all that. Jensen's now got an 8.8 second lead. He's absolutely loving things at this moment in time. Sort of a bit like his namesake, who was quite good in these intermediate conditions. I once heard them say, like, Lewis Hamilton was never scared of anyone at McLaren, apart from Jensen Button when there was a 6-foot wide bit of dry tarmac. Then that was where Button really came into his own, and Jensen doing an absolutely fantastic job in these conditions. 8.8 seconds is lead at the moment. We are expecting to get a bit heavier the rain later on. Now we'll see what Tom Robbo and Dutch Missile can do, because I think Black Box was struggling a bit more with pace, and you can see he's got Denzo right on the back of him at the moment. That red light flashing, not for the ERS, for the rain, of course, this moment in time, as Jensen picks up his first penalty. He can get away with that for now, but down the inside goes Denzo. It's just not a tight enough corner, turn number 1. You've sort of got to be alongside already. Turn 3 does provide a better opportunity, and there we go, Denzo's got that move done, but we might see Black Box try the switch back.
He might try to switch back in towards some of it, but Denzo positioned the car in a place where he would still stay in P4, and Black Box now is going to try and do it the hard way. Both of these guys, of course, in the same team. Teammates don't matter really at this stage, even if you are in the same esports team. They're fighting out. Jensen leads the way, 8.8 seconds, as you say. He hasn't really gained the time over the last laps or so. Tom Robbo there in second. They're now clear of the battling, to be honest. So Tom Robbo second, Dutch Missile in third, Denzo in fourth, and Black Box in fifth. So the IFR Cluster Fest in second to fifth is still alive, but not kicking, to be honest. Rudy there in sixth, Pat in seventh as well. Looking quite close down the bottom of the field. Connor, by the way, I think had a battle with Lynx last lap around, and Connor up into P12. He ran wide, I think, in towards Tom and Vic, if I'm not mistaken. I saw it on the mini-map. Lynx was alongside of him, and there was a little bit of contact between them both. So Connor now through, and he's into P12, and Connor normally likes to dry Commentators better than he does the Inter, so he is going to be finding these conditions tough, as well as all of the drivers, of course.
Yeah, and we are expecting changeable conditions, and that's even worse. It's okay if it stays the same conditions for the entire race. You can sort of get used to things, but we are expecting the rain to get heavier. Storm conditions at the end, whether we will still see that, and whether we'll still see a full set of tyres. Even if we don't see the full wet, it started raining too early for anyone to get these set of intermediates right until the end of the race. So I think we are going to see drivers have to come into the pits, and that might be another interesting point. If it's only due to be full wets for the final 4 or 5 laps, these intermediates are going to be very second best by that point.
Black Box has just run massively wide, coming out of turn 4, nearly tipping one wheel in the gravel there. Ran so wide, I thought he was off to Catalonia. Quite literally, he ran so wide coming through turn 4, but he stays alive. He's still there in 5th position. Rudy there in 6th, Pat in 7th, Fleddy in 8th, Noah in 9th position. Further down the field, Bunty trying to get a look in on Boss Wanted, 15th and 16th. There's not really any battling, though, at this stage. The rain is still light in terms of intensity. Whether or not it's going to get heavier towards the end of the race, of course, remains to be seen. But Jensen doing a phenomenal job. And to be honest, Coginio was the only retirement. He retired in the pit lane, luckily. Everyone else is still going relatively cleanly out on track, which I think is phenomenal and just comes to show what sort of driving talent we have here in TTML F1.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers have near moments, but thankfully they have been able to catch it. Of course, we say this is a circuit that punishes mistakes. You can see some of the gravel runoff area there. You have got a bit of distance to find a wall at this circuit. It's only really...
It's Denzo.
Completely wrong on the pit straight. It's now, yeah, Denzo very close to the back of Dutch Missile. This could be his opportunity.
No, he's not going to go for it. Dutch Missile's going to be in 3rd still, Denzo in 4th. Just almost as if he didn't want to deploy the ERS down the straight. It could have got him a really good run on Dutch Missile, but I think they're thinking about the long game, to be honest. Are these guys going to get to the end of the race? Remains to be seen. We've seen, I think, I commentated around here a couple of weeks ago, and it was only 17 laps you could make on a set of inters, so it is going to be interesting in that case. The rain almost looks like down the straight it is getting slightly heavier, but now into the corners is lighter again, so it might be different intensity around the track. Jensen leading the way. He has got that 3-second time penalty, and of course, in terms of the penalties so far, Jensen's got 3, Black Fox has got 5 seconds, so he must have sped into the pit lane. 6 seconds for Pat, 3 for Fleddy, Nuff, Isu, and Boss Wanted, and Perpetuum. 5-second penalty picked up for speed in the pits, and a 3-second corner cutting, so he is on 8 seconds as well. Jensen seems to be having his own time, of course, out in front, but I have seen him make mistakes, and I'm going to say that explicitly on stream now. I have seen him make mistakes in the intermediate conditions, enough for him to lose potentially a really good point score from the lead of the race. He's got a 9-second buffer. Take the 3-second penalty away, that is. He's got 6 seconds over Tom Robbo, used up the ERS there, and it's now extended out to 9.2. So, Jensen doing a phenomenal job, but Tom Robbo looked like they're on the same pace, but but Tom Robbo obviously can't close in.
Yeah, certainly. He has got 1 lap older tyres as well. I don't think that's going to make a difference yet, but maybe slightly later. I think Jensen, it's an awkward situation. You've almost got to just push like you normally would and not think, oh, I'm in a 9-second lead, I could relax here. We all, I'm sure none of us actually here will remember it, but I think we might have heard it as Noah and Fleddy getting pretty close.
Yeah, Noah and Fleddy getting pretty close indeed. Fleddy there in P8, Noah in P9, just about hanging on to that. Noah, I think, trying to dive bomb down the inside line in towards turn 3, didn't get a move done in towards Lagos, but Fleddy stays in P8, Noah in P9 for now. Looking in behind as well, Connor's beginning to pick up the pace. He's on the back of Nuth. Nuth was about a second clear a couple of laps ago, so Connor now beginning to really drive in, and it might be the case of the warmer tyres. And if anybody can manage his tyres, it's Connor, because Connor is an absolute masterful driver. Not in the inters, more so than the dries, but he's doing a phenomenal job. He's down there in 12th position. Currently one to watch out for, especially later on in the race, especially because he might be better in the heavy wet conditions. But Nuth in 11th, Connor in 12th. Not really making an impact so far, but we know how quick he is.
Yeah, he is just sort of sitting back at the moment. He has obviously gained a few places from the start of the race. If we do get that position change up on screen, you can see he's gone up 4 places. Zoidema up 9 positions. He's told you he was a bit of a better racer than he was qualifier, and he's not too far off the back of Noah and Fleddy. But Tom Robbo, he's had quite a fantastic start to the race as well. He's gained 6 positions as Isu now picks up another 3-second time penalty. Quite a few drivers seeming to be enjoying these conditions. A lot depends on when you came into the pits, maybe around some of the other drivers. Although Zoidema did come in on a similar lap to most of his fellow racers. It was only really Jensen, Nuff, and I think there was someone else as well, Denzo, who went that extra 1 lap longer, as we have got a yellow flag now, and I'm not sure who that is, and that is Noah off, facing the wrong way at turn number 4. Please, ghosting system, work. And it has done indeed. He's now in the 14th place.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine. I think he spun it coming through the outside curve of turn 4. Now down in 15th position. He was in 10th. Nuth now inherits that position as a result. And of course, top 18, we didn't come onto the point system in TTML. You should know it by now, but if you don't, of course, top 19 positions get points. So 1 point for Coginio. Jensen at the minute gets 30 points for the race win. Currently looking absolutely unbelievable out in front. Tom Robber there in second. Denzel looks like he's applying a bit more pressure though to Dutch Missile. I'm not sure if he's going to get the run. We've seen it through gap. He takes the inside line and then gets the coursing on the outside line. Dutch Missile again, just a little bit slower. And Denzel now trying to counteract this, using the deployment on the back of him. But again, without the DRS, he's got no real chance to try and get the move done. So Dutch Missile holds on to P3 for now. But Denzel is there, and I've got to be honest, he looks quicker than him.
Yeah, and Dutch Missile really going through his ERS there. He's got about 50% less than Denzo. So if Denzo can get Dutch Missile into a situation where he's coming onto that straight with about 30-35% of ERS, he's going to start clipping by the end, and that will be the opportunity for Denzo. As well as the point system, you might have seen me quickly flip over to the fastest lap. You do get 1 extra point for the fastest lap as long as you finish, and that will be Jensen because we are expecting rain until the end of the race. So if he does finish where he is now, he's got himself a perfect 31 points to start the season, which is not bad whatsoever, and he is steadily extending his lead. And this is sort of what I was talking about. You just gotta do what you normally do. Don't treat this any different. If you start relaxing, Senna did it at Monaco in 88. He started to relax, lost a bit of concentration, hit the wall. The best thing Jensen can do now is just treat this as a normal situation, and he's just stretching his lead out. He's looking very good indeed. And with this lead, if the rain does start getting heavier and it does go to wet conditions, he can afford to just wait and see what the other drivers do.
Yeah, of course. We saw Chionis actually in F2, as Nuthers just picked up a 3-second time penalty coming through turn 12. We saw with Chionis, I think he was listening to me in the stream, to be honest, saying it is going to be wet conditions more than intermediates, but it didn't work for him. He still was right down the back of the field, so I think blame me, to be honest, if you are listening to the TTML F1 stream for your strategy calls on Thursday night. Jensen leads the way, though. 10 seconds the gap, as you say. Extending the gap very nicely indeed. Tom Robber in second. Dutch Missile in third. Denzel in fourth. Black Box in fifth. It's almost as if we're not really getting as many battles of order up. To be honest, it's a bit like Portimao in real life around here at this moment in time. Hardly any action. Connor again on the back of Nuth looks close. Is he going to be close enough coming through Torre Vip? Possibly this time. Ferrari on the back of the Williams. He does like his dive bombs, Connor, but I don't think he's going to be close enough down towards Torre Vip, and he's not. So Connor stays in 11th position, rides the sausage curb on the inside line, unsettles the car. Pat has picked up a 3-second penalty as well.
Yeah, we are starting to see a few more drivers get the penalties there. 9 seconds now for Pat. That is going to cost him quite a bit towards the end of the race. We haven't had any VSCs or safety cars yet, and fingers crossed we do not get any. Other drivers doing surprisingly well in these conditions. I think, well, surprisingly well if it was me. I think I'd have definitely spun off multiple times by now, and God knows where I'd have ended up in Estoril. Somehow I'd have gone that far off the circuit, but they're all doing a pretty good job at the moment, and Connor just through their turn number 5 through Torre Vip, proving why you need to stay off the curbs in these conditions. They paint them with special extra grip paint in Formula 1. They're a lot less grippy than the tarmac though. He's already starting to catch Nuff back up as well. You've got Zoidema not too far ahead of these, so that could definitely help the Williams driver out if he could just gain maybe an extra half a second to a second and get onto the back of Zoidema and get the DRS, well, get the slipstream from him, as Boss Ones has got a penalty, and more importantly for this race, Dutch Missile has as well.
Yeah, both 3-second time penalties as well. Isu will run on the back of Links down in towards turn 1, doesn't quite get the move done. He was looking a lot closer this time around. The Spaniard on the back of the Brit. Links doing a good job, just hasn't looked like he's got the pace so far there in P12. Bit of breaking news, by the way, in terms of real life Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton's been called to the stewards in real life for the Brazilian Grand Prix over the use of safety belts. So I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. I've never seen a driver get used for use of safety belts before, but he's been called to the stewards apparently.
Well, I know they're not supposed to take them off, but a certain Charles Leclerc did a couple of laps of the Spanish Grand Prix in 2020 with no safety belts, but I think we all know that Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen tend to get a bit more leniency off the stewards than some of the other drivers, so we'll have to wait and see. No such leniency there here though in TTML. All the drivers will be, I'm sure, fully strapped in at the moment. I hope you're all ready at home as well. 15 and a bit laps remaining, and Jensen still keeping that 10-second lead, and Denzo, he's got fairly close to Dutch Missile once or twice, and that's really been it. Can't get off the final corner well enough, especially in these conditions, as Pat has retired from the session. Has he retired in the pits? Yes, he has.
Yeah. He has retired into the pit lane. Very, very strange for Pat to retire. Not sure what was happening. He was running in 7th position as well, so he was well up there in terms of the field. So Pat has now retired from the session. second retirement of the race, and his car is stuck in the pit lane, which I can see on my screen. Pat is stuck in the pit lane. His car, though, has been removed. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Tell you what, Denzel was getting really close to Dutch Missile through turns number 7 and 8 here, but just not quite enough. As Nuff is round.
He's gone straight on. He's gone straight. Has he parked the car? I don't know what's happened on there, but Connor is through and he's into 9th. Obviously, position gains as well. Nuff went straight on. Is there a wheel issue possibly here? He's letting everyone through. He's right down the back of the field now. Nuff is right down in 17th. I don't know what happened there. That definitely looks like... Oh, it might be throttle input. Throttle input. Now he's back up to full speed. I think his throttle input has gone. Possibly his pedals. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he's definitely having some issues. It was very, very weird day. You might see the drivers lock up, but you wouldn't expect drivers of this caliber to lock up enough to go straight on. He's he's maybe just testing things out. Don't be surprised if we see him come into the pits to maybe try and fix things. Hopefully, he can carry on, because like we said, he would get 3 points if he can carry this on until the end of the race. But that's good news for Connor. It has released him ever so slightly, and he has now actually got onto the back of Zoidberg. He is within half a second. So I think that Ferrari definitely has got the pace. He just seems to be stuck in the traffic. Can't really use it.
Yeah, he's on the back of Lynx again, looking in towards turn 1. Nearly slides the car coming out of turn 2 as well. Is Nuff going to retire into the pit lane as well? I'm wondering. Yes, he's straight into the pit lane for Nuff. Gets the car stopped. Is that going to be a retirement in the pit lane? Yes, it is. So unfortunate for Nuff. Hopefully we might find out what happened. Definitely looked like to me if it was throttle input related, but who knows? I might be making up things we don't know from the driver himself. Jensen though leading the way, Tom Rober in second, Dutch Missile in third, lap 19 now 33. Noah has lost position to Boss Wanted, and actually going off down the straight. Noah and Boss Wanted 13th and 14th, and Noah throwing these into 13th position as apparently damage is off.
Well, that is interesting. Hopefully that's not the case, because that's a bit of a shame if it is. Because that'd be I haven't seen anyone actually get damage at the moment. That is a very good point. I've not seen anyone have any damage, but yeah, that's I think with all the different lobby settings and rushing around, it'd be oh my goodness me. Noah had a massive moment there, and Boss Wanted gratefully taking that position. Noah's sliding all over the place. Once you start overheating those rears, get it quite often. It's sort of a vicious circle, and I can tell you, Lewis Hamilton got a €20,000 fine for having the safety belts off on the. Again, Noah all over the place. I believe it was after the race had finished, so just getting a fine for that one. And there's going to be one hell of a bar tab at the FAA Gala this year.
Yeah, car damage, by the way, I'm just checking my screen. Car damage is off and on a reduced damage rate. So, something might happen as a result, as Boss Wanted has run wide coming through. Boss Wanted now down into 15th position. Funky Chicken through, and he's into 14th. Boss Wanted clearly struggling as well. Nuff, by the way, in terms of that, is completely right. It was his pedals, but damage is off. We didn't realise before the start of this lobby, so it is good that it has been picked up now. What this does, I don't know. I really don't know. We're going to have to try and continue on with the action as best as we can, but I'm sure more information, more of a discussion will be had after the race. Jensen leads the way, Tom Robo in second, Dutch Missile in third, Denzel fourth, Black Box in fifth. And obviously with the damage model being off, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. But Denzel is on the back of Dutch Missile.
Yeah, and I think what that's going to mean is drivers are just going to go for dive bombs. As soon as they realise it's off, you're just going to go for every single move possible, because why not? What have you got to... You have a bit of contact, it's all right. It's more like Rubbins racing all of a sudden now. But yeah, that is it's shame damage is off. It is definitely something that should not have happened. It will be interesting what sort of happens with this race. I think it would be harsh for a lot of drivers, especially Jensen, if you say the race is null and void because damage was off, because he's 10.3 seconds ahead at the moment in time. As that's a yellow flag, and that is Noah, who has spawned on the way into the pits. We've seen him sliding around quite a lot. I think this is going to be a new set of tyres. It is still, obviously it's still raining out there. I don't think it looks as though it's raining quite as hard as it was earlier on.
It isn't, to be honest. I think, honestly, the rain is still at the same intensity, to be honest. Noah's retired into the pit lane. I think he picked up a 3-second penalty, actually, coming into the pit lane, which I've never seen before, but he's another driver now out of the race. Jensen leading the way, Tom Robo in second, Dutch Missile in third, Denzel in fourth, Black Box in fifth, Rudy in sixth. But Will this race be null and void? Will this race be postponed? I don't know, really, but we still have to continue on as we are in its current format. Jensen leading the way, Tom Robbo in second, Dutch Missile in third. It is a shame. That damage, obviously, I totally understand what Zerdemer was doing. Zerdemer was under pressure to try and get the settings obviously set up in time so we could have a valid race. And obviously, it's been picked up halfway through the race that damage is off. So, obviously, repercussions might happen. We're going to have a discussion after the race. And if so, we will let you know what is going to happen in terms of what the outcome of this race might be. But hopefully, it is going to remain as it is. But we just don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure like a lot of people are making some decisions. Dutch Missiles picked up another penalty there, so he's now got himself up to 6 seconds. And Denzo, just I can imagine, 6 to death at the sight of that back of the rear wing at the moment. But in a situation now where he knows Tom Robbo's quite a bit up the road, doesn't have to worry too much. He'd finish third if he goes for the move. If he doesn't go for the move and stays where he is, he is going to finish in third race. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether he does decide to go for anything. Because of course, if Tom Robbo gets another penalty, then things would get interesting because he'd be on 6 seconds and that could promote Denzo up another place. And Rudy, he's doing a good job of just keeping things clean at the moment. In 6th position on the back of Black Box, who seems to have found some more pace after earlier on. We are seeing the driver starting to close up that tiny bit more. It's just such a difficult circuit to overtake on. As you see this quite often, the circuits that are fantastic to drive round really aren't the easiest to overtake. Suzuka being another prime example.
Yeah, Denzo on the back. He's been 2-3 tenths off him coming through Galp at turn 15. He's not close enough this time around. Again, 4 tenths behind. Dutch Missile, the Missile currently in third. Denzo 11 fourth, Blackbox in fifth. Connor again on the back of Zerdemer coming out of Galp at turn 15 as well. And he's 3 tenths away. Is he going to try and get the run down in towards turn 1? You would imagine he'd have NSX Montana set up on down the straight here, down in towards turn 1. But I don't think he is close enough once again. But you never know. One mistake could really throw this race wide open. Jensen has absolutely dominated affairs out in front. He's took that pole position, ran with it, and he's deservedly out in front, and he's showing why he is the one to beat currently at this stage as Connor, now on the back of Zerdemer. Are we finally going to see an overtake? Down the inside and towards Torrevit. Connor puts the car alongside. Is the Ferrari strong enough to try and get the move done? No. Zerdemer stays ahead.
No, wasn't able to do that, but he's got a bit of a chance.
Oh, actually,
maybe.
oh
Zoidemer, that was a bit of a brave move, and Connor's just going to drift his way across the circuit here. Needs to be, yeah, he will get himself a 10-second time penalty for that, which I find is a bit harsh because that's probably the safest way to recover at that part of the circuit is just to skip the next few corners. So wouldn't be surprised if he gets that removed, but that's allowed Lynx to get ahead of him. It was bold from Connor. I don't think Zoidemer expected, but the gap was definitely there.
Yeah, and to be honest, Connor is now down the inside line of Lynx, gets the move done. So, he's now back through and he's into P9. Lynx and now in P10. 10-second time penalty for Connor. I think Kimi Räikkönen would be very proud of his performance coming across, coming through the final couple of corners down the middle sector. But Connor now down in 9th position, 10-second penalty. He may as well still continue on. He's got a good shot because penalties obviously are behind him as well. Most of the drivers do have penalties behind. Isu trying to cash onto the back of Lynx. Lynx again on the back of Connor. Not going to get quite close enough. Isu's pretty much dragging Lynx through turn 1 there at Primera. And now down in towards turn 3. Goes for the lunge down the inside line. Just about keeps it clean, but Lynx just about stays ahead as well.
Yeah, now of course allows Collins just to get away for a bit because I think he'd have been feeling under a tiny bit of pressure under all of that situation. We've got Zoidemer just up ahead of these guys. Now of course he's sort of on his own, as is Fleddy. He's driven a very just quiet race at the moment. Nowhere near the cars ahead of him. Managed to pull away enough of Zoidemer, so he is in 7th place at this moment in time. Not doing bad whatsoever. It looks like this best battle though is going to be between Isu and Lynx, and I'm going to call it now. I don't think we're getting heavy enough rain towards the end of this race to go to a set of wet tyres. And looking, we have got some tyre wear from the TAS system. If this is accurate, we're not going to need to pit again.
I don't think we will need to pit again, to be honest. It could be a very similar scenario where we had an F2, where it began to fully heavy rain out on track around this point on within the race, and obviously drivers would decide whether to go inters, whether to go onto a set of wet compound of tyres. it looks as if we're going to get into throughout this race. Isu runs on the curb, coming through Gal. Goodness me, he was close to actually spinning the car. He ran that far deep into the corner. But again, on the back of Lynx, he's not close enough to Spaniard. The team of Duck Dustman, of course, down in towards turn number 1. Not on the back of Lynx so far. Jensen, by the way, still leading the way. If there is a reason why we haven't got on board with him for now, it's because he's doing such a solid job out in front. He's 10.5 seconds clear with Tom Robbo, who in turn is 4.5 seconds clear with Dutch Missile. But the real battle is on for third position, if you could call it a battle, because Denzel's looked so close at many points on this circuit to try and get the move done. I don't think he wants to try and risk it, A, because damage is off, and B, because I think he's happy with P4 and realises that the guys ahead have got penalties.
Yeah, last lap around, it was the closest he'd been at the end of the straight. It was about 1.5 tenths behind, but again, it's not close enough to get the move done. He needs to really try and get off the final corner a bit better, but it's so tough in these conditions. You can see this is the final real corner. Not that last right-hander isn't difficult, but even in these conditions, as we do go on board with him, you can see it is a very bare lift. Barely lifting whatsoever in that Red Bull, so not affected him too much, but he's lost quite a lot of time and isn't going to be close enough this time around to get that moved on, and he knows he doesn't have to risk it.
He doesn't know he has to risk it, and Denzel's obviously got no penalties at this stage. Dutch Missile has got 6 seconds worth of penalties. If I can get my words out, that'd be great. Jensen, though, leading the way. He's also got 3 seconds. Tom Roberts got 3 seconds. You know, one warning and another penalty could fling this back into Denzel's favour for possibly picking up at least a P2 out on track. One mistake as well could also have him as well. But Jensen leading the way, Tom Robbo in second, Dutch Missile in third, Denzel in fourth. I feel like I'm on repeat at this stage in the race. There's Blackbox there in fifth and Rudy in sixth. Connor now on the back of Zerderman. We saw the contact a couple of laps ago. Connor now looks like he's got the pace. On the back of Zerderman, down in towards Torrevepa turn 5. Doesn't want to obviously try and risk the move, but he may as well, to be honest, because he knows that Zerderman is a target ahead of him.
Yeah, he's got the pace. We've said this from him all race. He's had the pace. He's been stuck behind various different cars. I believe it was Nuff he was stuck behind earlier on before Nuff had his pedal problems, and he lost about 2 seconds to Zoider, but has managed to catch right back onto the back of him, and he's pulled away as well that 1.5 second from Lynx, who might be wishing he still had Zoider, who might be wishing he still had Connor ahead of him to give him the slipstream to help him defend. But yeah, Connor, I think he'll get that 10-second penalty removed, if I'm being perfectly honest. So he's got to try and go for this move, really getting up on the curb there, and it's just not working out for him. He's fairly close to the back of Zoidema, and I'd say he's got a bit of a... If there was DRS, this would be a very straightforward pass, I think, for me. But of course, with no DRS and both of them having quite a lot of ERS, he's just not able to gain enough into turn 1, so... You've got to try it somewhere else. So fair play to him. That is what he tried into turn number 7. It just didn't work out for him. But it's going to be somewhere like that where you're going to get the moves done.
Yeah, Connor on the back of Zerdema through the final corner. He took a very similar line to Denzo. Watch Denzo just before that reward on board. And now Connor right on the back of Zerdema. This is surely a guaranteed move. Down and towards Torrevip at turn number 5. Job done. Connor performs one of the cleanest overtakes I think I've seen all night. Connor is through and he's into P8. Zerderman now down into P9, and now Connor's got 3.2 seconds to Fleddy, who, if I'm going to be honest, and not to disown him at all, I think Fleddy's a bit of an easy target. Perpetuum has now retired into the pit lane as well, so he has had enough. Connor there in 8th position, Zerderman in 9th, but Connor now really beginning to try and press on the back of Fleddy. As I say, I think Fleddy, to be honest, Connor is quicker than him. And that's why I'm saying he's an easy target, because if Connor can utilise his pace and not pick up a 3-second time penalty, which is what he's just done, Connor would be ahead of Fleddy by an absolute country mile.
Yeah, it's just whether he can do it now. I mean, Fleddy, like I said, he's been on his own at the moment. He's not been able to keep up with those guys ahead of him, but Zoidema and enough earlier on haven't been able to catch up with him either. So he's just sort of staying there at the moment. Connor's got to catch up about half a second over the next 6 laps to get him out on track. And with the penalty situation, he has 10 seconds more. Again, I do think that 10 seconds, he's got a fairly good chance of getting that removed, as it was after contact with Zoidema. So if he can get this move done, that will be very possibly for position. And at the end of the season, 1 point could be all important. You've got Isu still on the back of Lynx as well, still not able to make this move done. I wonder Are we now going to see Zoidema? Doesn't look like he's able to hold on to the back of Connor. Are we going to see him fall into the clutches of Lynx and maybe drop a bit more down the order? He was one of the first drivers to put on that set of intermediate tyres, of course.
Yeah, I think so, to be honest. Isu's there in 11th as well, 0.3 of a second behind Lynx, so he's really trying to press on the back of the Brit, and the Spaniard has just been stuck there literally like superglued to the back rear wing of that Mercedes. Connor, by the way, has just gained a second on Freddy, and this is why I think Freddy is an easy target. Connor is so much quicker than him. He's got free track now, and now he can let this car absolutely loose. He's not going to be picking up 7th position. He's got that 10-second penalty. He probably get it removed, but then again, he's got to get past Fleddy and then pull another 3 seconds on the back of Fleddy to try and get that 7th position. So Connor is in a bit of no man's land. He needs to decide what he does. Lap 29 has begun. Jensen leads the way. Tom Robbo in 2nd. Dutch Missile in 3rd. Denzel there in 4th. Black Box there in 5th, and Isu now on the back of Lynx for 10th and 11th position. The Spaniard doesn't look like he's got the cleanest straight line speed set up. Is he going to be going for the move down towards Turn 1 at Primera? No, Lynx stays in 10th for now.
Yeah, just had a bit more VRS there at the important point at the end of the straight and was able to hold on to that position. So if Isu can save up a bit of his battery and just do whatever he did through the final couple of corners that time around, he might be able to get the position, but he does have more penalties. We get that penalty situation, 9 seconds. He's not going to make that up at this moment in time. Most penalties is Connor with 13. Still got a few drivers to keeping it clean. So fair play to Denzo, Rudy, Zoidema and Lynx, who have managed to keep it clean at the moment. I don't think we'll get any late safety cars, but if we did, they would be in a prime position to take advantage of that, as Denzo is still on the back of Dutch Missile.
I don't think we'll get any safety cars anyways, with damage being off. So, yeah. Dutch Missile's in 3rd, so in 4th. Sorry to come across like that, but yeah, it's true with what the lobby settings are currently at this stage. Certainly, we don't know what's going to happen, of course, with the race. We are going to speak about it after the race. I can guarantee that. Jensen leads the way though. Tom Robbo in 2nd, Dutch Missile in 3rd, Denzo in 4th position. Denzo again looks on the back of Dutch Missile, and now this is the closest opportunity he's been. He's on the back of Dutch Missile for the way that Dutch Missile parks the car coming through turn 2. Pretty much like parking a bus through there, and Denzo could not find a way through. But that's the first sign that Dutch Missile made a mistake, and Denzo with a lap fresher tyres, he's now ready to play.
Yeah, very smart there from Dutch Missile. Just placed his car perfectly on turn number 2. Made sure that Denzo couldn't get a good run, otherwise I think he wouldn't have had a chance of defending into turn 3, as Isu picks himself another penalty, and now that the dirty air starts to come into effect. Obviously nowhere near as bad as it is in real life. I think
Connor starting to cut it down the inside line of Fleddy, gets the move done and towards Torrevit. That was late, bold and brilliant from Connor down the inside line. Really fights the car on the exit, but Fleddy, I did say he was an easy target. He's now past him. Connor is through, and he's into 7th. Late as you like. Daniel Ricciardo-esque from Connor, and he's through. He's into 7th.
Yeah, very well done from Connor. I thought he'd gone a bit too deep there, and Fleddy might be able to get the advantage on the exit in dry conditions, possibly in these wet conditions, just not with quite enough grip. But did it a lot quicker than I thought. He's done it on lap 30 for him. I said on lap 27 it would be a bit of a tough job, but proves what I know. Further up the field, Denzo still pretty close to the back of Dutch Missile. He's gets close, but he's still about a 10th behind by the time we get towards turn number 1, and just I think needs Dutch Missile again to have a bit of a moment through that first corner to have any realistic opportunity, or to make a mistake somewhere else on track. But Dutch Missile has been as cool as you like, just soaked up all the pressure. The only mistake he's really made, well, the only mistakes he's really made are those 6 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, Denzel's doing such a solid job. He just cannot find a way through the Chilean on the back of Dutch Missile. The IFR man, of course, right on the back of his fellow IFR man, and there's plenty of IFR men 1st to 5th at this stage in the race. It's almost as if they've literally came in and just wanted to dominate the league, which they are doing certainly here in Portugal. Jensen leads the way from Tom Robbo in 2nd, 11.2 seconds the gap. Can now Jensen really find something to try and extend that gap out a little bit further? Of course, he has got penalties, as of the most of the field. 3 seconds for Jensen, 3 seconds for Tom Robbo, also 3 seconds for Fleddy and Funky Chicken, 6 seconds for Dutch Missile, 5 for Black Box, 6 seconds also for Bunty, 13 seconds for Connor. That might be down to a 3-second penalty. Isu's got 12, and Boss Wanted has got 9. So there's the penalties update there. Final 2 laps of the race. Jensen now pretty much on his 2 victory laps home.
Yeah, it's been about 22 victory laps, if we're being honest. He's not really looked in any danger whatsoever. This is the closest we've seen anyone get off the final corner, though. But it's Black Box and the back of Denzo. Because Denzo's got the slipstream off Dutch Missile, nothing Black Box can really do about that. But that's another reason why Denzo needs to be careful. If he makes a slight mistake, could allow Black Box through and allow Rudy through, who still hasn't got any penalties either. These two just sort of sitting on the back of this train, sort of trying to figure out what mistakes they can force the cars ahead into. But these are very clever drivers. They're not making any mistakes whatsoever. And Fleddy definitely seems to be struggling a bit more now because he's got Zoidema on the back of him. He's finally found a bit more pace, and Lynx is there as well. So could we see Fleddy dropping a bit more down the order?
Yeah, possibly so. Zerdema on the back of Fleddy. Fleddy just looks like he's struggling slightly. Zerdema now on the back. But can Zerdema try and find a way through in P9 to try and get the move done into P8? Connor, by the way, is now pulled 2.5 seconds on Fleddy. And if he was to get that 10-second penalty removed, obviously, with how the status of the race might be, if he does get that 10-second penalty removed, he is going to be in 7th position, possibly by the end of this race. Speaking of which, he nearly spins the car coming through Samsung there at turn number 8. Fleddy, though, 2.3 seconds off. Jensen started the final lap, by the way. He leads the way down in towards Primera. It's been an absolute dominant drive from Jensen. Tom Roble there in 2nd. Dutch Missile in 3rd. Denzel there in 4th. Black Box in 5th. They're not really close enough to try and battle. I think it's really Zerdem and Fleddy we're going to look on.
Yeah, just a bit too far behind that time. Deso and Denzo and Black Box. But we'll see what Zoidema can do on the back of Fleddy. I don't know, he's taking that tighter line, which looks like you gain a bit to start with, but you saw it there go up to just under 5 tenths of a second. Now it's just over 6 tenths. Well, I'm looking at the wrong gap there, but he's definitely close enough. And Fleddy has realised here and is going to have to do a bit of weaving down the straight, and that might have just been enough to put Zoidema off. Is he going to be able to send it into turn 1? No, too far behind. Even Daniel Ricciardo, even NSX Connor wouldn't have thought of going for that move. And I wonder whether we're going to have to see Fleddy going defensive into turn 5, because he's been caught napping once already into there.
Yeah, he was defensive into turn 3. I think he's got more of a run though on Zerdema, and it should be P8 pretty much sorted now for him. Jensen, however, is coming through turn 13 for the final time here in Portugal. He has literally seen no other car so far this race. And Jensen, honestly, this has been an absolute dominating drive from him. He comes around Galp for the final time on what could be a first race win for Jensen. He runs to the line to win here in Portugal. Jensen wins, comes across the line to win from Tom Robbo, who comes round Galp in the final corner, coming round now in turn 15 towards the line, and Tom Robbo is going to make it an IFR 1-2. I may as well just say IFR's been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With Dutch Missile now coming across the line to finish in 3rd. Denzo in 4th, picks up the 3rd place in the end. Black Box had a 5-second penalty unserved for speed in the pit lane. Dutch Missile crash coming across the line there. Rudy now in 4th, Dutch Missile there in 5th, Black Box there in 6th, Connor in 7th, and he's now running around the final corner. He's got enough of a gap over Fleddy as well, so 7th position could be on for him if that 10-second penalty was to be removed. Fleddy across the line now in 8th. XL Zerdema jumps up, Lynx jumps up now. Connor will jump behind Isu, I think, and all of this as well. And Isu will actually come across the line to finish in 11th. Bunty now across the line. Relatively boring debut, if I've got to be honest, from Bunty, and Boss Wanter coming across the line to finish in 14th position. Jensen pretty much putting it rightly, I think. Bit of a broken night, but we move, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Jensen just did everything he had to. If the race does get cancelled, at least he's shown his pace. If it doesn't get cancelled, he's got himself a nice 31 points. He's on the podium there, just sort of listing out to try and find anyone who was better than him tonight. And I don't think he would have done. Absolutely fantastic performance from him. Tom Robbo did well to get himself over to 2nd, just couldn't live with Jensen. And by the time he got into 2nd, the Jensen was too far ahead. And Denzo as well, keeping it clean, gets himself a podium.
He does get himself a podium indeed, and a fantastic result for the IFR boys. They're going to be over the moon with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this race. But hopefully we are going to have this race, hopefully not null and void. We're going to talk, myself and Luke and the other league directors, as well as with the drivers. We're going to have a communication with everyone to see what should be done about this race. Jensen, though, has won with the fastest lap. He completes the first Grand Slam of the season as well. Jensen, pole position, fastest lap, race win, job done. Jensen wins from Tom Robbo in 2nd. Denzel there in 3rd. Rudy there in 4th, Dutch Missile in 5th because of penalties. Black Box in 6th, Zerdema in 7th, Lynx at 8th, Fleddy in 9th, Connor in 10th. Again, because of penalties, he might get that removed. Isu there in 11th, Funky Chicken in 12th, Bunty in 13th, Boss Wanted, disappointing, I think. He had a few moments out on track as well. Down there in 14th, Perpetuum 15th, and this is the DNFs, of course, that we now have. Perpetuum, Noah, Nuff, Pat, and Kaginio all DNFing at various points in the race. But Jensen wins, Tom Robble second, and Denzo in third.
Yeah, that's pretty much it then for that race. It was we got there eventually, and we'll have to wait and see what the different drivers decide, because I think they're going to be talking amongst themselves. Jensen, he'll definitely be in the camp of let's let that race carry on, because he was just faultless today.
He was just faultless today. Hopefully we're going to be hearing, of course, I can see them actually within the waiting room on Discord. Jensen and Tom Robbo are within the waiting room. Hopefully we'll be getting them in very soon indeed. And Nuth, by the way, has also said it should be at least half points. It was completely rigged, but that'll just be unfair to give no points at all. Of course, drivers might have different opinions, of course. We will see what's going to happen. We will decide what's going to happen as well. Myself and Luke being league directors, along with Conti and Mr. Honeybadger as well. He will also be there. But now we get our interviewees in, and it is a P1 for IFR Jensen. And Jensen, a fantastic result from your perspective. Literally saw no other car in the race apart from turn one. Talk us through it.
Yeah, kind of a perfect race, really. I think I had one little instant where I went wide at turn 3 and it gave me like several warnings for like one offence, but in the end I didn't have to worry about that. Of course, controlled my own race up front, and yeah, one quite dominant win for myself, I guess, compared to some of the others I've got this game. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. However, it goes if the race is void, if it counts. Still very happy.
Yeah, Zoderman, by the way, has just said that he had to make the lobby quickly, plus doing the weather and starting grid, and that's what I was trying to say in the stream as well. Obviously, very pressured, I think, with the time that we all had. I'm sure there's going to be some form of communication brought up in the coming hour or so. But obviously, a very dominant win from your perspective. Didn't see another car, and you were so dominant. You had the pace over Tom Robbo as well, so that might have been a bit of impressive as well. Obviously, having pace over one of your fellow teammates in IFR.
I mean, I knew there wasn't. I mean, Pat came into the party, I think the mid-lap 20s, and said that they said they looked and there's no damage, so I was pretty safe from a safety car in the end there, and it seems there wasn't many incidents anyway in that race, but yeah, just pushed all the way to the end, had a bit of fun, setting some good times, and yeah, I could say it's went very well. Yeah, hopefully says well for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it should serve well for the rest of the season, of course. A fantastic performance from you, of course. Luke, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Just one, actually. Tell us what it's like as a driver when you're spending that time in between qualifying and the race, waiting to get started, because obviously you're used to just finishing qualifying, having a formation lap, and getting straight into the action.
It was a bit of banter, really, because it was just joking about the game. To be honest, it was quite poor, really. I mean, it was no one's fault. It happened twice in a row where the whole lobby desynced like one another. Yeah, it wasn't great, but I mean, we got it going in the end, which sort of set my mind on that. And yeah, just focus back onto the driving, just toggle modes whenever we're doing whatever, and that, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely seemed to cope with it. I'll hand you back over to James.
My first question to you, of course, Baku next week. Of course, the all meets the new. You had a really good performance in the PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event. You finished in 4th in the end. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
Yeah, I knew you'd bring that up. Yeah. Yeah, Baku, I mean, quality pace is like, I don't know, to be honest, but the race, I seem to really enjoy it. And yeah, like you said, the PSGL event pretty much said enough for that. But yeah, aim to carry on the momentum throughout the season, of course. Yeah, hopefully Baku get another victory.
Yeah, momentum, of course, being carried on because you might be, of course, the championship leader going into next week in Baku as well. Go and enjoy your evening.
Yep, cheers. Thanks for the comms, Luke and James.
Very welcome indeed. And we'll now move on to, of course, our man who finished in P2. And that is, of course, IFR Tom Obo. And Tom, you had a really good start, obviously coming down in towards turn one. Saw Jensen go, obviously, around the outside of Dutch Missile, who then made a mistake. Talk us through your race, because your race, I think, was pretty much a bit more lively than what Jensen experienced.
Yeah, the start was pretty hectic, trying to avoid everyone. It always is at Portimao. But yeah, I made a couple overtakes, and then it was sort of just a train until the pit stops, where it was a big strategy of when to pit into the inters. And when I pitted, I think a couple people got held up in a double stack, and so I overtook them. There was a couple spins, I think Pat and someone else, and then on the restart, well, not the restart, but getting back out, two in front of me, battled a lot, and I got past them both as they went wide. So that was, after that, it was literally just 20 odd laps of trying not to spin, and it worked.
It did work, of course, finishing in P2 in the end. Did you feel under pressure from the guys in behind? Because obviously you knew they were battling, Black Box and Denzo and the likes. They were battling. Did you feel under pressure from them, especially if you made a mistake?
Well, I knew Ryan, the Dutch Missile had 6 seconds of penalties, so I was ahead of him anyway. And the gap was about 3 seconds. So I didn't feel too much pressure because the gap was quite big the whole time, and it kept growing and growing. So I knew it was probably going to be fine.
Yeah, you are an LOE reserve, if I'm not mistaken, or you were an LOE reserve. And did you race around here in LOE on Saturdays in Portimao?
No, I don't think I did. But that was the first wet league race I've done in Portugal, and I think it went pretty well.
It went pretty well indeed. Luke, any questions?
No questions from me. Just well done on the second place.
Thanks.
And of course, Baku next week. How do you think you're going to get on?
I'm quite similar to Jensen. I think my quali pace is a bit off, but the race is it's a lot better for me.
Yeah, so we'll have to
be
go
strong.
On. Sorry, I cut you off there. Terrible. Oh, go and enjoy your evening, though.
Thanks again.
Very welcome indeed. And we do not have our P3 man, of course, but that is the end for tonight here of TTML F1. No assist here has been done for the first time on a Sunday night as well. And Luke, pretty much a relatively good experience. Who on earth, however, is your driver of the day?
I mean, can we go for anyone else but? Jensen? He got the pole position, had a fantastic race, and no matter what happens, like I said, he's definitely given himself good confidence for the season. I think that performance has maybe put a lot of people on notice that he's going to be very tough to beat.
Maybe the one to beat as well. No pressure, Jensen, if you are still here, by the way. Which I know he is. I know he is. He's still there. But that is it for tonight. Hopefully, as I say, we're going to be getting communication out to you very soon indeed about how the race is going to go on. I can tell you now that we are talking about it within the division admins chat. So as soon as we know what we're doing in terms of how this race is going to look and how the status of the race is going to be, then we will let you know first. And you will see it first, of course, in the Discord. Steward's office, I think, as a result, will not be open until a certain time for this race, of course, if the race is to be scheduled still ahead. But, of course, Baku next week, Luke. How do you think the drivers are going to get on?
I think they'll be hoping it's dry, won't they? Unlike Portimao, where there's plenty of runoff area, not a lot whatsoever at Baku. We've seen both the drivers in the interview saying you've got to focus on your race pace around that circuit. It's very possible to overtake one of the longest flat-out sections in Formula 1, pretty much, for all intents and purposes. The entire final sector is flat out. Could be a very interesting one. Keeping your nose clean is crucial.
Yeah, keeping your nose clean is crucial, and keeping yourself out of damage as well is also very important around Baku. But that is the end for tonight for TTML F1. Really hope you enjoyed the stream. Eventually, we got back underway, and eventually it delivered as well. But, of course, if you did like the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell. Of course, if you are new, we will once again see you next week with more action to come on League Racing TV. But for now, for the first time in Season 6, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.